You're up and it's still dark. Kick back with a cup of joe. You know you've got friends waiting on 1620 The Zone. It's Happer and Schaefer. It's Connor and Mike. Listen on the radio stream or YouTube podcast. Anytime it feels right. It's Happer and Schaefer. Happer and Schaefer.
Hi, good morning. Welcome in. Happy Wednesday. I had to check that twice. It is Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone and on 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you. Do you see why I'm laughing, Schaefer?
Adjust your camera, Mike.
Just moved.
There we go.
No. Your camera. There you go.
There, we can see him now.
Here we
I
are.
haven't actually had to move this thing ever.
Yeah, it can move.
I honestly didn't even know that it could move.
It's amazing. Yeah, they're not
I
like
just assumed it was a fix.
locked into the wall.
But,
Digo writes it.
we
Schaefer
go.
is almost there with the camera. Yeah, that'd be funny. That's how I look. All right, good morning, everybody. It is Wednesday here on the show. Plenty to come today. Oh, what's this? There's been another James Harden trade. We won't talk much about the James Harden trade, but I found myself curious this morning. How many times has James Harden been traded?
Ooh, can I guess?
I would love you to. That's why I'm asking.
Okay, so he went from Oklahoma City to Houston.
He did. That was one.
So then from Houston, let's see.
Think a super team.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Failed
an
super
attempted super
Yeah, the
team.
Clippers.
Yeah.
No.
No, you skipped a few.
Oh, wow. Okay. A super team after Houston. He go to the Nets?
Yep.
Yes.
So he went to the Nets.
Joey's on top of it.
And then from the Nets, he went to... Did he go back to Houston?
Nope.
No. Now this one,
Think of East.
yeah, this one wasn't a trade, right? This one, I'm pretty sure he just signed.
76ers?
Yes.
Okay. At some point, the Clippers are in there, aren't they?
That is the next one.
Okay, so it's from all right. So we go Oklahoma City, Houston, Brooklyn, Philadelphia,
Yep.
Los Angeles,
Yep.
and then from Los Angeles.
That's it. I mean, now we're
so
on
he
to,
was on.
we're on
So
to
now
yesterday.
he's back to Cleveland.
Yeah.
Not back to, but now he's to Cleveland.
He is in Cleveland, right? Which I
16.
never.
There was another stop somewhere in there, but I think it's just because his name comes up all the time.
I have never known a team to successfully acquire James Harden and then have their playoff run or whatever, which is assumingly what Cleveland is doing. I assume that they're near the top of the East and they're trading.
No, they're
not?
They're not. They're not even top 4.
Oh my God. All right. Never mind then. But I don't know what they're doing. Who would trade for James Harden in the year of our Lord
They gave up a
2026?
player
He's
that I
old.
know in the
They-
NBA.
yeah.
Their second best player, Darius Garland.
What are they doing? Are they cooking something else? Like, is the trade deadline later and they have to do something different?
I think it's later and they have to do something different. I think
Oh my
they're
God.
trying to cut costs to get something even bigger. I don't know.
So
I just think it's a bad move to get someone old and just not reliable in crucial moments.
no, not at all. And it has been known to be like a cancer to your team throughout his
Well,
entire career.
I guess in theory they wouldn't really need him at the end of games when you have Mitchell, right?
I'm thinking end of the in the playoffs. Like
Yeah.
this is why you go get a guy like this, right?
I don't know why you go get James Harden in 2026.
Exactly. That's kind of my point. So, I mean, his Spotrac page is hilarious. It's one of the funniest things I've ever seen. So, obviously,
the man has made money.
there was the original James Harden trade.
No.
That was the James Harden trade. The as Bill Simmons calls it, the sliding doors moment, or whatever it is, the Harden trade. He goes and becomes like an MVP, candidate guy at that point. He goes into a different point in his career because remember in OKC, this is 15 years ago, he was, six man and,
Right.
Just a really good, like really, really good role player for them. Almost, well, Yeah, he was just a really good role player. Stays there for a while after several playoff failures.
They reached several game sevens, right?
I think a few. Yes.
Yeah.
Signed a big contract extension. Also, his Spotrac page includes like suspensions and fines. So he was fined $5,000 for flopping in 2013. He was suspended 1 game for kicking LeBron James in a Cleveland game. Then he signed another giant extension, and a couple years later, fined $25,000 for publicly criticizing officiating, and then fined $50,000 for violating league COVID protocols in 2020. That was all during his time in Houston. And then he's like, you know what? I'm out of here. I can't do it anymore. Trade me. I would like to go hang out with my friends who have tried to create this super team in Brooklyn. That did not work.
Yeah, that went very poorly.
Gigantic trade. I was listening to the rant popped up on my phone last night. Have you ever seen the rant from the guy on TV who was like, James Harden, the dismount is James Harden, you are not the whatever he wants to, you are not the system, you are the problem. It's a great rant. Incredible rant.
I don't know that rant.
Goes through his entire career and and all those other things. August 22, 2023, fined $100,000 for his recent comments referring to Philadelphia president Daryl Morey as a, quote, liar. Good one by him. Then, of course, traded to the Clippers after that. Stays there for a couple years. Signed a contract this offseason, and now is traded to the Cleveland Cavaliers.
I like
the life and times of James Harden.
There was a post, and it was just Kawhi's reaction to Harden's trade, and they put up a picture. And Kawhi's personality; he's not very expressive. It's just a blank expression picture.
I don't know that anyone knows Kawhi's.
It's labeled surprise, and you just see a blank Kawhi Leonard expression picture.
Pretty good.
Thought it was hilarious.
This is what we talk about the NBA. This is when we talk about the NBA, when weird stuff like this happens. We don't talk about the basketball things that happen.
Joey, did we ever get a resolution from the Tree Foundation thing and Kawhi Leonard? Or did that story, which NBA people painted as like this massive thing, and it lasted for like 3 days, and I swear no one's talked about it.
I think it just went away completely.
Yeah, I think it went away because I haven't seen anything since that surfaced.
But
that's classic NBA. Like, this is gonna rock the world. And then
I just remember thinking, like, I don't know that anyone's going to care. And then I completely forgot about it until literally he said Kawhi Leonard.
I think I forgot about every single Pablo Torre story.
You probably haven't forgotten about Jordan Hudson. That one probably stands out a little bit more than most.
Yeah, but like I remember Jordan Hudson. I knew about Jordan Hudson before Pablo Torre.
To the extent, did you listen to like how deep or whatever that went?
Well, just with the interview, with the CBS interview, that one. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, no, I mean, just like all the other stuff,
like the emails and stuff. Yeah, I saw some of that. I don't remember any of what happened. I mean, I get the general gist of like she was, quite the presence in the North Carolina organization. I think, that's all I remember from.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying, like almost 90% of that was Pablo Torres.
Okay,
sort of.
All right. So I remember that.
What I'm getting at is at least you remember that.
But I remember one Pablo Torre.
I do get what you're getting at in the sense that like he uncovers these things, and then because of the society that we're in, it just doesn't.
Yeah.
No, everything's Teflon. Nothing sticks.
What will be the next Pablo Torre? What is he working on now?
Ooh.
I'm sure, like he seems like he's really good.
With Klosterman that I need to go back and listen to.
He seems like he's really good. Obviously, what he's trying to do. I just don't maybe I just don't have the capacity to think about these things as
well.
Much. Or maybe he's doing stuff that I don't understand.
I think that we just don't have the mental ability to make things stick as much as they used to.
Maybe
like just the way that society exists now. So much happens all the time that things just get replaced and then you move on.
I want to tell you about something that I did. So this is the first segment of the show. This is always the random segment. I wonder if people go back and listen to this segment on podcasts when it it's like welcome to the show. But there's some good stuff in here.
Our podcasts are still broken out by segment, right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
So there's still some gold in here. I have been trying to prepare myself. I'm excited. I've excited myself for Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show.
Okay,
I'm excited. I'm
ready
because I like Bad Bunny because I liked him in Happy Gilmore.
Okay, so I need to I've never listened to Bad Bunny, so I'll have you give me
I don't know any of the songs.
No, okay. I don't either.
You throw Bad Bunny on.
They're all in Spanish.
Okay,
they're all in Spanish. I don't know any of the songs. I know them only as baseball player walk-up songs.
Okay,
occasionally. And so I went.
Just a general vibe.
I was on Spotify on my drive-in this morning, and I was like, I'm just gonna rip through a bunch of Bad Bunny songs, and they're all great. You know, there's they don't sound the same, but they're like you got to move around to them and stuff like that. They're like dance songs. Sure. So I'm excited to see what he's got. I think I like him as a person. I think he's funny, and he was awesome in Happy Gilmore too. And so now I'm trying to excite myself for Bad Bunny Super Bowl halftime show because that is the Super Bowl halftime show that I will be watching.
Okay.
I have picked my Super Bowl halftime show. It's not the Kid Rock one.
And so you oh yeah.
Are they doing the halftime
competing halftime?
Are they doing a special halftime Gronk kicking a field goal?
Oh, great question. I haven't seen anything from FanDuel.
I know Harrison Butker's available since his team's not in the Super Bowl.
They do an alternate kick in the field goal with Harrison Butker on the Turning Point halftime show.
Wow.
They should do that. They should play an alternate football game too. They do the whole thing.
Who is televising the alternate halftime?
I don't know. It's probably on YouTube or something.
Some networks that
will it outdraw the
some networks that want to carry that.
Text for the 402. How do we know this? It hasn't even happened yet. Texter says, Connor, Bad Bunny equals worst halftime ever. It hasn't even happened yet. There has been some bad halftimes.
Yeah.
I am willing to see what we get here. I'm excited.
I don't usually care about the halftime.
That's what most people say. They're like, yeah, this is an excuse for me to get up and go refill my drinks. And I'm like, yeah, that makes sense.
I mean, most of the I would say a fair amount of Super Bowls, you don't even you consume them, but it's not like you're locked in on them. I can't think of the last time I was truly just completely locked in on a Super Bowl before the third or fourth quarter.
Really?
Yeah.
Last year was good all the way through.
Right. It's not that I don't watch them because I definitely watch them, but it's just I don't know. There's an element to it where it's kind of how I consume the Sunday night or the Thursday night football game. It is on. I am there.
Yeah.
But it's not in the second quarter at the 7-minute mark, I'm going to file away this amazing moment.
So how do you watch a Super Bowl? What are your surroundings?
A friend of mine would have an actual Super Bowl party. So that was part of it. You'd be in and out of conversation.
That's where you don't watch
and everything else. Now, as someone with a child who doesn't really want to pay for a babysitter on Super Bowl, and also just the party doesn't exist anymore, or it now happens and I no longer have an invite. I'm not sure which.
Interesting.
I don't really care.
Interesting.
I guess either. It'll probably just be myself and Shelby by the time Hudson goes down. The thing is, the Super Bowl starts at what, 5:30?
Yeah, just about. I
probably
don't know
5.
So he'll go down right
probably.
around halftime. The way these things work.
That's the way it worked for us last year. We watched the beginning. Now I'm not going to pretend like that is an excuse for me not doing anything. I prefer to not do anything.
Yeah,
I prefer to just sit there and watch it. I feel like I have to consume all of it. Just for probably my job, but I like to consume all of it because it is where football and pop culture and all of these other things sort of just meet. You go on the internet the next day and they're whatever corner it is, they're like, let's talk about the commercials
anymore.
Not really, but if something catches my eye,
okay,
I'm like, oh, that was.
Have you considered that you'll be doing a radio show at 6 a.m. the day after the Super Bowl now?
I have.
At least the game ends around 9:30.
I'm excited. We get first crack at the Super Bowl.
Actually, how I was approaching it too. But
because we can set the tone for the day, and we cannot talk about how the day after the Super Bowl needs to be a holiday.
I mean,
Beef Man thinks the Super Bowl day after the Super Bowl needs to be a holiday.
I guarantee.
I got hammered last night.
I was gonna text you. I was gonna ask you what Beef Man thinks about tortillas because we were having tacos last night, and I was making my taco, and I was looking at the tortilla, and I was like, Beef Man hates this right now. Beef Man just wants to reach into the bowl of hamburger and just shove it into his gullet.
I don't understand this.
Yeah.
Buns, tortillas, everything like that. I don't really get it. All right. So there's your tone setter for the show today. James Harden trades Bad Bunny in the Super Bowl watching experience. Today we will have a chat. Go ahead.
Should we quickly let Joey discuss the Celtics making a move?
What they do?
Segment? Yeah, they moved Anthony Simons, their sixth man, to the Bulls for a big man, Vucevic.
Oh, okay. So
Nikola Vucevic.
Does this mean more playing time for Baylor Shireman?
It could be because they don't have a leading man off the bench. He started yesterday just for Peyton Pritchard to provide some production off the bench. We'll see what they do from here. They have a game tonight at Houston. I don't think Vucevic's going to make the debut tonight. I think later in the week. But the Celtics needed a big. They lost 3 of them from last season. Luke Cornett is on the Spurs. Horford decided to go to the Warriors because he felt that the old aging Warriors are a good chance for him to get another ring. And then Porzingis is on the Hawks and he's still hurt for some reason. So they have issues rebounding the basketball and just providing any production from the bigs. So that's why they made a move to get Vucevic. They might get someone else as well. Plus, Anthony Simons cost a lot of money, so they needed to cut costs. So I find it a good move. I'm happy about it.
Now might be a great time for me, for the first time since November, check the NBA standings.
So I'm gonna continue to treat Joey like our NBA expert here.
Okay.
What's the latest with Giannis? What are we looking at there?
Oh yeah, where's he going? When's the actual deadline?
I know
that's the other thing I was wondering.
I think it's next week. It's close to All-Star Week.
NBA All-Star Week.
Yeah, it's by the NBA
It
All-Star
is
Week.
tomorrow at 2.
Okay.
Tomorrow at 2.
So
this week
we might get
tomorrow.
some Shams fireworks. Well, he hasn't been good at doing that,
Mr. Shams.
But yeah.
Okay, what was the other question that you had for Joey?
Giannis.
What's the Giannis update?
So I heard that Damian Lillard is trying to lure him to the Blazers. What? To the Portland, because Damian Lillard was his teammate at Milwaukee, and Lillard's back in Portland.
Yeah, but would that make any sense? I mean, Portland is terrible, aren't they?
Portland's doing pretty.
Portland is 10th, 23 and 28.
They're doing better than usual.
Get into the play-in
game? Giannis.
Probably.
You don't get Giannis to help you into the play-in game. Giannis needs to go to a good team.
But I know
put together the best package.
I've heard the New York Knicks, Miami Heat, the Golden State Warriors in that conversation.
That's always the team that I heard.
Those
Knicks.
those three teams are always in the conversation.
It's always the Knicks.
The only people I know that talk about the NBA are Timberwolves fans, and they are holding out hope that they could get Giannis to play with.
Oh yeah, that's another team I heard.
All right,
which would be kind of fun.
They are also in the play-in conversation.
Yeah,
right now.
No, they've been not good this year.
31-20. Not horrible. Not horrible.
Well, relative to the conference.
Look at that. The Pistons are still at the top.
Yeah, they're pretty good. I got to see them last year before they started.
They started what?
They started being at the top of the East.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
They were up and coming last year, and I got to see them up front, and they look pretty good.
37-12.
They should have beaten the New York Knicks in the first round of the playoffs. They got screwed in 2 games, and it ended 4-2.
Damn refs. Baylor Shireman started his 5th game.
Is Cade Cunningham
he's got to be
there on the Pistons?
Yeah. He's got to question. He's got to be their guy. Cunningham.
Is Cade Cunningham good on the Pistons?
He's really good.
25 points a game.
He's an all-star starter for the
25 and 10, Schaefer.
You remember when Oklahoma State was the only team to get actually in trouble?
Yes. That was funny. Great
Makes
times.
Sense.
Excellent times. There is your NBA update. For those of you who are listening on the podcast later on, I don't really know how this happened, but I liked it.
James Harden.
Thanks, James Harden.
Yeah, this is how you set
Bad
the tone.
Bunny back to the NBA.
Yeah, this is how you set the tone. Elsewhere today, Sam McEwen will join the show at 8:30, and Lauren Michelson makes a return for the first time since week 1.
Yeah, it's 3 weeks.
We're in week 4. We've had some
We'll ask her what
conflicts,
she's been up to.
and that will happen at 9:15. That is the lineup. I want to hear from you guys, 402-951-1620. On the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline, you can call or text that number. Tweet at Happer and Schaefer, at Connor Happer, at Mike J. Schaefer on Twitter. Email ConnorMikeJoey1620thezone.com on the Equitable Bank Zone inbox. And we say good morning to the YouTube streamers.
Hello, YouTube.
Hello, YouTube. Thank you for being here. Mike Schaefer looks generally centered on screen, and for that, we are thankful.
Can't wave.
Now, the next step is to get the headphones.
Yep, we're getting there.
After the timeout. We will do that. Elsewhere today on the show, we will jump into a couple things that we had left over from yesterday, like are the only SEC wins in court. Schaefer's Creighton question.
We doing that today?
I think so. Yeah, I think today's a good. I mean, Creighton does play tonight, after all, so we can talk about that a little bit. We will go down signing day memory lane. We have a special teams plan for Nebraska, concepts of a plan. We have tall building update. We got a lot to come at you today on the show. So thanks for being with us. We'll be back after this on a Wednesday on 1620 The Zone. Speaking of random, our dear friend Mike Farron just tweeted out a college baseball hype video.
Did it get you hyped?
Not really. It was just clips from last year, but I remembered a bunch of things from the College World Series.
Someone tell Nick.
That's sort of what happens during the College World Series. Like it seems like, because it is the biggest thing in the world at the time, and then you just forget everything that happened, unless it is this like transcendent game or
Skeens louder, which
unless
I will
it's
never
Skeens
forget.
louder or the drop pop up in foul territory by Arkansas, or Warren Morris, or like whatever it is. Like
Warren Morris. Look at you dropping Warren Morris.
People forget about Warren Morris.
They don't forget about Warren
No,
Morris.
they actually don't. That's
one of those like iconic CWS will last forever moments with Rosenblatt as the setting.
Top 5 college World Series moments that you will actually never forget.
Yeah, that'd be in there. Number one is clearly the Vandy Whistler, because how could you forget that? It's still ringing in your ears.
He hasn't been around in a couple years.
I know.
Yeah.
Things have been better.
He's been great.
Yeah.
It's been awesome.
Do we think
the noise pollution has been lessened?
So if Vanderbilt shows up to the CWS, do you think both the Whistler and Pavia will show up to Omaha?
Oh, Pavia will definitely be there. That is a great point.
Yeah,
who would be more annoying in Omaha?
That is a great point.
Severe,
all the little children will flock around him.
I guarantee you, if Diego Pavia makes it to Omaha, Severe will do some sort of podcast with him.
100%.
That is his favorite player.
He's the only person
football.
who loves Diego Pavia that I've ever seen.
He gets so mad whenever I want Diego Pavia to have to go get a real job. Like, sorry, you can't be a 47-year-old college player. At some point, you're going to need to do something.
Yeah, that would be helpful. Also, I like how this year his bit was he said he was 6 foot tall, but then he measured in at the combine at like 5'8.5" or something like that.
The Senior Bowl or whatever.
The combine hasn't happened yet.
No,
great times.
Not that much
it's
taller
hard to
than
believe.
me.
It is really hard to believe that these players are not their listed height on the school's website. I find it shocking every time.
Shocking. So there you go. College baseball starts in 9 days.
Yeah.
Nice. So Nick Grimm's been telling me about his little opening day watch party plan.
What do you mean watch party?
Well, he's shared me a list of games he's going to watch all day for a college baseball marathon. He's super excited.
Is he going to take that Friday off so he can just like bask in the glow of college
baseball?
No,
I think he's going to delegate in the zone studio, making sure that the TV's always having a college baseball game on. To his liking,
he would get support on that.
Oh, he definitely would.
There's live sports on during the show, and if Nick wants to go around and find all the random ass games that are happening next Friday or in a variety of different places, then he could be our guest. That's great. Looks like we do have a full.
Full slate. He's even talking about Hawaii baseball overnight.
Of course.
Wow.
Of course he is. Wow, Creighton and St. Mary's don't play till late on Friday night. Creighton has.
Where does Creighton open up at?
St. Mary's.
Like,
it's actually a 3-game.
I didn't know that it was like
if
it was some sort of place that they were going that they were playing St.
Yeah, they had St. Mary's. They had St. Mary's here last year. They must have like some sort of scheduling agreement with the West Coast Conference, because every single team has been here for the last like 4 years.
Where is St. Mary's actually at?
Moraga.
Okay.
I don't know where that.
I think it's like
failed
northeast of San
California
Fran.
Geography last week.
You're right. We're not good at it.
I know that Pepperdine is like in basically LA. Like,
right.
Really, really
on the
gorgeous.
ledge.
Yeah. That's
on the cliff.
Lincoln O'Neill had a job interview at Pepperdine, and he said it was like just absolutely amazing.
So the first 2 weeks for Creighton are in the state of California. There's excuse me, St. Mary's, and then there's San Diego the week after that.
Okay.
There's a San Diego tournament.
San Diego, we know where that is.
We do, but one of the games is in La Jolla, where what were we talking about La Jolla for the other day? Somebody mentioned
I stayed at La Jolla when I went down to San Diego.
There you go. That's probably
my California trip.
And
it's beautiful over there.
And then they're going to Cleburne, Texas the week after that.
We're not doing Texas geography.
No.
It's just Texas.
I assume it's West Texas.
I assume it's just Texas.
Yeah, well, it's definitely Texas, that's for sure. And then they're back at the Chuck Box, which is featured on MLB The Show this year.
Wow.
Yeah. Did you see the pictures?
No, I didn't actually know this. I wasn't planning on buying the show this year.
Yep, it's on MLB The Show.
Wow.
Kind of. I mean, it's not like completely accurate, but it's close. It's closer than it was. And it says, like, it's not just like Omaha Stadium. It's Charles Schwab Field.
I think I finally hit that point with sports video games where I just don't know that I've done this a few times. One, I hadn't played video games for years, and then NCAA came out. And I got back into it. And now it's just kind of like, do I need to get the show again? I didn't play it enough last year to justify the cost of
the video game people will tell you it's been the same game since about 2016.
Yeah.
And it's hard for me to disagree with them.
But I mean, I do enjoy it. It's just ultimately, I don't know that I get enough out of it anymore. Like, I don't have that much opportunity to play.
No.
And then two, when I do, it just feels like you play it for a couple weeks and then you don't ever see it again.
I usually play, this person might be listening right now. I usually play video games like with my friend. We have like a connected dynasty that I've told you about a couple times on college football. But he is now strayed off into a random world of a game called City Skylines. Have you heard about?
No, but I am actually.
I'm guessing you're building a city. That's
so you
what
build
it
a city.
Is it Sim City? Basically,
It's not the Sims in the case of like you don't have a character.
Is it like a tycoon game, like roller coaster?
Kind
tycoon?
of.
Okay.
Sim City, you don't
I've
really
heard
have
of
a
it.
character. You just sort of manage a city.
Yeah, I guess so. But it's less about the people and it's more about the city.
Yeah, no, that's what You've never played Sim City.
Not really.
Yeah, no, Sim City, you just build the city.
All right, that's what this is.
I mean,
it's just Sim City.
It was an unbelievably addicting computer game when I was young. Like that and like Roller Coaster Tycoon, you could just lose hours to. And all you're doing is just building this city, or in that case, an amusement park.
So I think right now he's trying to replicate Omaha in some way, shape, or form. I mean, it seems like it's really difficult. There's a lot of stuff going on. But
probably building that new skyline that Omaha's getting.
Well, that's what I was. So that's the transition to this.
Man, the graphics of this city's skylines is.
You like it?
Well, yeah, just because what I remember is Sim City.
It's basically that.
Yeah, I'm gonna show you what the graphics of that look like.
Basically that. And we got on a flight simulator kick for a while too. Like, there's an opportunity to jump in there and do different things. But no, I saw an update yesterday. This is the actual topic for the segment, I promise. We won't just dilly-dally all day long. And there's sports to talk about too. An update from our friends at Grow Omaha, who they do great work in terms of keeping us updated on construction projects around the city and businesses that are opening. And
Grow Omaha has been a resource for me since I moved.
I love Grow Omaha. Yeah. Thank you, Grow Omaha.
I love it.
Downtown Mutual of Omaha, the new building, the new headquarters at 14th and Farnham. You know, that big skyscraper. It is nearing. Some people wouldn't call it a skyscraper because some people are big city elites, but I am not. I would call it a skyscraper, and I would say, or Grow Omaha would tell you, that it is nearing the final height it is going to be at 677 feet. We have almost reached the top, and as you can see, the outside windows encasing sort of the building is nearly complete. This building, according to our friends at Grow Omaha, is supposed to be operational by this fall. So big tower, big things happening for Omaha yet again. And then the next thing after we finish this is going to be to divert all of our attention, to reroute all of our attention to Big Airport. And then when Big Airport is done, Omaha is back. Big Airport, big streetcar, big tower, and we're done.
Of those things, the thing that interests me the most is Big Airport.
Me too.
And largely because I'm fascinated to know and see how this thing is renovated. So it's, such a horrible airport for so long. For all the things.
Are you being sarcastic?
Like what Epley was previously?
Are you being real?
I'm being real.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
I mean,
no, I just want to make sure you were being sarcastic.
The setup of that airport was just.
It's bad.
Yeah. Really, really bad. So I'm very interested on a much smaller scale. Lincoln's remodel turned out fantastic. And so I'm curious how
Lincoln did an airport remodel.
Yeah, really
wow, nice
very
job.
very nice looking.
So they got some flights too. Now.
They actually have flights now. I left and now they have flights again.
Well, good thing we have big airport in Omaha.
No, that helps, but it's almost where I live feels like there's not like that big of a difference.
We will miss Creighton.
Where I used to live driving to the Omaha airport.
You need a Bennington airport.
Yeah, I really do need Bennington Airport.
Yeah, Creighton McGee's is dead.
My family own that.
I know you mentioned that.
Yeah, my aunt and uncle ran it for a while.
Joey is really secretly connected with the air. He is connected to the air.
His sister is a pilot.
Yeah,
his family owns Cracky McGee.
Very interesting.
Yeah, since they sold it, then it kind of went downhill, I guess. But my sister used to work at Cracky McGee's before becoming an airline pilot for an airline. I'm not going to say it is, but she met some interesting people.
Imagine you meet some people.
Smash Mouth lead singer showed up, and
Steven, what's his name? Steven.
Oh, the Smash Mouth guy?
Yeah,
I don't know that guy's name.
I got a Mike Rozier autograph because he went through
Steve Harwell.
My uncle have him signed on a guest ticket or something, whatever they use to take orders. So I have that framed up somewhere.
I wonder if the Smash Mouth guy is going to be on the alternative Super Bowl halftime show.
I doubt it.
No, you don't think so? All right.
He's probably too busy at a nostalgia tour somewhere else. Probably has a show during the Super Bowl.
So the other one, the one that is not the Cracky McGee's, the one in the other terminal, the bar at the other terminal, the Aviator or whatever the hell it's called over there in the Southwest side, which is where I spend most of my time.
Mm-hmm.
It never fails. Every single time I will see someone I know in that area. It doesn't matter if the flight is at 4:00 in the morning or whatever. It does not matter. Yeah. There will be somebody you know in that section of the airport because, you know. So now we could get some more space. We could all be together.
I'm hopeful that
it'll be a big melting pot.
TSA, and it's not just like this
single checkpoint,
long line.
Single checkpoint.
Yeah, it'll be great.
It will be fantastic, and we'll have food options and things of that nature. It's going to be awesome. But anyway, Big Tower is
so why don't people regard it as a skyscraper? Does it fall short of what the standard of a skyscraper is?
I don't know what the standard is, but some people are from like other big cities, and they're like, that is not a skyscraper. I mean skyscrapers where literally the building is in the clouds. And I say, well, if it's foggy outside, the building will be in the clouds. And this will be the biggest building. This will be, the Girl Omaha had this. 677 feet. The tower will be the tallest building in a region of several surrounding states, including Nebraska, Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, and South Dakota. The second tallest building in that same region is the already existing FMBO Tower at, just a couple blocks away at 16th and Dodge. So I don't know. I feel like we're a skyscraper town now. I feel like we're back.
Basically, the AI tells me that over 150 meters or 492 feet is generally regarded as skyscraper status. And then it goes on to say that there's a difference between, where did I see this? Super tall versus mega tall.
Yeah, we're not going.
They're not anywhere near that, no. But they are over what you said is
677.
Yeah, so they've cleared that threshold. So I think it counts. It probably just looks like
it's a skyscraper,
not that much
baby.
Because it's just one.
Well,
there's not multiple of them.
Well, now it's two.
Well, sure, yeah.
We're back, folks. By the way, feel bad now. D-Lo writes in on YouTube, the Smash Mouth guy died. So
he can't be doing
he will not be on the alternative halftime show.
How long ago, and should we have known this?
I think a few years ago.
Like almost 3.
Okay. We probably should have known it.
Probably should have thought of it. Maybe that's just because his legacy lives on.
The band could still be operating, though.
Maybe. Who knows?
It does happen.
Or maybe Steve was just so important to the equation.
I'm guessing he was pretty important.
All right, we'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. My co-host, Mike Schaefer, used to be a recruiting man for the internet. And today would have been the worst day of the year for him. Actually, probably not.
Maybe like 10 years ago.
Yeah. That's sort of what I'm thinking about.
When there was like the February signing day when everyone had to get their NLI, which is
National Letter of Intent. Yes.
They had to get that faxed in back when people would make their faxing jokes, even though you could just take a picture of it. And
I remember
we
thought we were really creative on the radio during that time because we would play a really, really loud, screechy fax sound effect. And turns out
you remember you used to do random recruit interviews on this day.
Exactly. No, I mean,
some of them would be really good, and some of them would be like, man, it seemed a lot better when I checked in with him the first time.
I think it was like 1 out of like 100.
Would be good.
That were good. So
I think some of it, and it's obviously different for me because in a lot of these cases I've talked to them a bunch, and so like I could probably have filtered out who would be good, who wouldn't be. But sometimes you get a guy that's good, and then he knows he's on like radio and he just shuts down.
I remember like I would text you or anybody else who, worked in one of the recruiting publications that'd be like, who should we have on? Like, is there one guy who we could potentially have on the radio? And you'd get, I don't know, maybe this guy, maybe this guy. But anyway, today is National Signing Day, the second National Signing Day for football. Nebraska has a couple of signatures that they're going to, one or two signatures that they're going to gather today. In theory, one from Tanner Vibabule from the Las Vegas area as a quarterback, and then waiting on a decision, which will happen at 10:30 this morning on Dylan Berriman, the defensive lineman out of the state of Louisiana. And so Monroe, Louisiana, to be exact. Nebraska seems like the favorite there, at least at this point in the game, so I assume they'll get his signature as well. But that's not what this segment is going to be for. This is not a recruiting update.
No.
This is us going down memory lane of things that we remember about signing days back when signing day was a big deal. It's obviously not anymore.
No, it's not certainly what it used to be when it had the one signing day in February. You get the big decisions. There used to be really, really important players to the whole process that would wait all the way until the last day to make their decision.
Or they would wait until the All-American Bowl and there would be a big unveiling there.
The whole calendar shifting and recruiting has like changed all of these sort of events. And now you have like 2027s that announce they would be the people for next year would announce at the All-American Bowl now instead of like your top guys that were seniors. And so it's
crazy.
Very different. But I wanted to go through some of the memorable sort of signing day stuff over the course of this show. And we'll go all the way back to 2010, where Nebraska was in several battles on signing day, and they won a few of them, but notably, they lost on a defensive end that they really wanted. Connor Happer, and I'm going to botch this name because I haven't had to say it in so long. And
he's still in the NFL, isn't he?
No. I don't think so. I think he's been out of the league he's been out of the league since 2018.
There's a guy by his last name who
the UCLA had someone by a very, very similar name.
Yeah.
Not the same name that just got drafted last year.
Odigizua.
Odigizua?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Owa is how everyone else would refer to him because that was the easy part of it. Odigizua was set to make a decision. It looked like Nebraska was going to get him. They really played up the Sioux angle. Bo Pelini thought that this was a done deal, and he goes to UCLA on National Signing Day, which sort of ruined what had been a pretty strong day to that point. They had picked up Corey Cooper. You remember Corey Cooper?
I remember Corey Cooper.
2010 National Signing Day. And then Breon Carnes was a decision that was.
I remember these guys because these guys were in my class. That was the year I graduated high school. Breon Carnes, we were excited about Breon Carnes.
Yes. So folks. These were like the big decisions that were made in I don't even know what the day was in February.
And so did this lead to the one big Breon Carnes spring game, or was that the next year?
It's usually the first
Breon
Wednesday
Carnes
February.
Spring game was the next year.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because it was like then it became the whole conversation about whether
Martinez.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because there was like a faction of people, namely Tommy Frazier, that really felt like Breon Carnes needed to be the starting quarterback in Nebraska.
Uh-huh.
You know, Taylor Martinez was currently going through a stretch in which he would be like one of the more productive players of all time.
And this is after his freshman year, his excellent freshman year. Yeah.
We look back on it now and like Taylor Martinez was woefully underappreciated for what he was.
Definitely. I mean, I admittedly, I was one of the people who was like, yeah, I'm kind of done with this.
I think it's again, it goes back to this. Like if you play quarterback in Nebraska for more than 2 seasons for sure, fatigue will set in and everything you ever done will be held against you more than what you've ever accomplished.
You either die the hero or you live long enough to see yourself
really
become the villain.
The best version of being a Nebraska quarterback is a 1 year, have success, and then, or you're
Joe Gans, Casey Thompson, both liked, both
Zach
never
Taylor
became the villain.
Zach Taylor had 2 years.
2 years.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know, basically you have to get in and get out if you're going to survive at Nebraska, which is not an incredible pitch as we teeter towards the Trey Taylor era. I point out. So that was 2010. I wasn't covering recruiting at this point. I actually was just about to finish up college, but my last semester of college, I worked at the unicameral down in Lincoln.
Hell yeah.
And I was what they call a page, and these were the people that the state senators would have this buzzer that would send off a light, and a page would go over there, and you might be sent down to the office to go get paperwork, or they might need you to go talk to somebody on their behalf.
Yeah.
Because they were supposed to be sitting there listening to whatever was whatever was going on or whatever was being discussed.
Errand boy.
One of the state senators knew that I was a sports writer. And so when you sit in this line and then when your turn, you're up there, and he calls me over so I can celebrate with him when Corey Cooper has it, because he's watching some kind of rudimentary feed on Rivals as Corey Cooper's about to make his decision.
That's so good.
And so I will have this moment with this previous state senator forever.
That is a great story.
So I doubt he remembers it, but I definitely
probably
remember.
not.
But yeah, he's like, I go over there and it's like, Senator so and so, what do you need? And he's like, oh, you're a sports guy. I wanted you to see this. He's about to make
you see, they got this guy, Corey Cooper. Yeah. He's going to be the best player of all time.
This is great. Corey Cooper, pretty good.
He ended up being a good player.
Pretty good safety for Nebraska. So that was 2010. We got time for
rip them all. I mean,
okay. Well, I'm saving some of them.
Okay, we could do more throughout the show. Yeah. I got. So I texted you yesterday, and I said, and I was like mildly serious. I wanted to just test the waters on this. I said we should call Adrian Martinez. And we probably get into some other stuff or whatever, but mainly just to ask him, can you take me back to your signing day? And when
he was a December guy, though.
And he was a December guy. But I want to know how many interviews he did. And I want to know because he said the same thing at all of them, and everyone agreed, and this is more on the radio side. Everyone agreed, like, this is the best signing day conversation I've ever had. Like, by far. There's no close second. At least that was the case for me.
He was a really good interview.
We got some good stuff from some other guys. I remember, so I probably did this for, like real life signing day while it existed the way it did for, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 rotations or something like that, five cycles. And I remember Jack Stoll came on our show. And he was really good. He said something about putting opponents' head in the dirt or something like that, and we were excited. People were excited about that. They were like, "Whoa, I love this guy."
NFL tight end Jack Stoll.
Yeah, and he ended up having a mullet and being a pretty decent player at Nebraska. So that was a good one. Just several. I think there was one time where like we had to squeeze it in, and it was at a time that we didn't like agree on, but we ended up figuring it out for like a couple minutes. And it ended because the kid had to go to class. There was the literal school bell was going off in the background. I was like, all right, see you later. You're on the radio right now, but whatever.
Did you ever have Lamar Jackson, cornerback, on a radio interview?
I think so. I remember his video. That was the big deal with Lamar Jackson, his announcement video.
He was a terrific interview. He would give you a good amount of time. But he was one of the fastest talkers I've ever dealt with.
Yes.
And So like transcribing was a nightmare. So it's like, okay, cool. I've got this 12-minute interview. I can probably write 5 stories off of this. Oh God, it's going to take me 2 hours transcribing this of 3 seconds, go back, 3 seconds. There's 4 sentences in there. Go back. Like it was, but he was very, very good interview. Didn't ever end up here. Brendan Radley Hiles was
Buki.
Incredible interview.
Yeah, I think everybody got him on the shows, even because he committed, obviously,
right?
Briefly.
Yep. No, he was just he's very good. He's some of these guys are so gracious with their time.
Did Micah Parsons ever do any local interviews?
I interviewed him, but I don't think he was ever on the radio. Or
I don't think he was either.
I
remember
that was good.
That was like the peak of recruiting the way I remember it.
Yeah.
Right. That Friday Night Lights camp with him and Buki was there, and then several other future Huskers were there. But Micah Parsons was just killing people on go routes as a wide receiver. And I'm like, what is this guy again? They're like, he's a defensive end. I'm like, oh my God.
One of the stories I never got to write that I always wish that I could have was like a tell-all of what happened at this Ohio State official visit where he's there, Nebraska's getting killed. He basically is just mocking every other player that's on the visit for, you're good enough to play for that team that's losing by 45 points. Just destroying, because he had already made the decision. There's no way he could go to Nebraska at this point in time.
Pretty great.
And so he just becomes this disruptive force on this official visit. He gets in a fight with a recruit's mom because she had just gotten so tired of like how much he has just talked smack about
just
her
trashing
son and
Nebraska.
Everybody else.
Yeah.
And I just heard from various recruiting staffers or people that were on that. It's like such a disaster.
This is a problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
That describes 2017 to a T.
That was a bad day. That was a bad day.
That
Except
was
for
one of the
JD,
more...
didn't JD Spielman like set a record in that game or something? Or
he might have.
Or
no one stuck around to see it.
Somebody had like a receiving record in that game. I was like, oh no, not that game. All right, so we'll check in on some more Mike Schaefer recruiting signing day stories as we go on throughout the show. We'll sort of sprinkle them in as we go on. Don't forget, Sam McEwen will join us at 8:30. He's got plenty of those, by the way. And Lauren Michelson probably does as well at 9:15. Back after this on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you on this Wednesday. 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Plenty of other stuff coming throughout the show today. The Blue Jays will play this evening in our nation's capital. Very, very exciting against Georgetown. We probably won't talk about the Georgetown game very much tonight.
Are we going to talk about the Georgetown aura?
We could talk about the Georgetown aura a little bit, or we could just talk about your Creighton question that you had yesterday, but later on in the show. Creighton and Georgetown tonight at 6:30. Joey has informed us. Actually, I'm now reading this in the press release that Rob sent out the other day. Paul Burmeister and Brendan Haywood. Joey told us earlier that it's going to be Paul Burmeister, and I shuddered. I was like, "Oh no, what's he going to say after this? Is he going to say Nick Staus?"
A douse?
No, not a douse of
bring
Staus.
This back overreaction.
Brendan Haywood and Paul Burmeister tonight. Or, of course, you had the option of listening to John Bishop on 1620 The Zone. And
I would choose Bishop.
I would, too. And you usually do, right?
Yeah, 6 o'clock pregame.
Especially if I'm out driving around, listening to Bishop call Creighton. I don't care about the results of the game. I just enjoy listening to John call the game.
It's a wild show.
It is an experience. Time. It's always a fun experience.
But let's get to Nebraska football. They had some news for us last night, as reported by Sean Callahan from HuskerOnline.com. So this is on the heels of 2 days ago, losing an assumed special teams assistant, Josh Martin, to a high school job in Texas. Now, yesterday or late last night, Husker Online confirmed that former NFL kicker and current Husker assistant special teams coach Brett Maher will be Nebraska's new special teams coordinator. So they apparently will tag him with special teams coordinator. We haven't seen an announcement yet from Nebraska. Special teams analyst Nick Humphrey, who came with Eckler from Tennessee, will be the co-special teams coordinator. So you have special teams coordinator and co-special teams coordinator. Earlier in January, Rule hinted that this was likely his plan, promoting from within. Yes, not a surprise from that, but of course, people thought that Josh Martin was going to be involved in it a little bit. So there you go. That is the play for Nebraska at special teams. And I do think, notable here, we are in this time frame, in this situation where everybody looks at everything and they say, I don't like it. Now, I don't know what there is to not like about this in particular.
It's not Eckler. That's basically
it's not Eckler,
which is just the rehash of that conversation. I mean, all things considered, you got a former NFL kicker as your special teams coordinator that has been around this. He's done kickoffs. He punted in college. He did kicks in college. He's kicked in the NFL. I mean, for Kyle Cunanan, he was a huge resource this past year, both from a mechanical standpoint, but also just like the mental side of it. Talking him through, kicking in Memorial Stadium is hard. Like, I don't know that gets enough credit for just how swirling the winds are in that stadium.
They talk about it quite a lot, but you really don't understand it.
Right. We know it exists.
Honestly, I wish they would talk about it less, but it is a thing.
Well, they talk about it because they get asked about it. That's why
that's true.
And the specialists only talk like once or twice a year.
No, I mean more so Rule. Rule talks about it all the time. And I sort of wish he wouldn't.
But that's kind of his own thing.
Yep.
But I think with Maher, at least you've got a guy that has a wealth of experience having played in the NFL at this. I am really kind of fascinated the direction that it goes. Is Nick Humphrey the sort of guy that is working with the coverage units or designing that kind of thing? Is Maher designing coverage units because he was part of it as a guy who did kickoffs in the NFL? I mean, so there's that aspect. I think from a recruiting specialist standpoint, Maher's connections throughout the country are going to be huge for Nebraska. Now, all of them have the same sort of, there's Chris Saylor, there's Chris Rubio, there's all these kind of specialist camps, Coles camp.
The Coles kickers. I've heard of those.
They all have sort of the same people, but not all of them have a guy who went through literal training at these places and know all of them in the same way that that Maher could. So some of how you
That could be
attack,
helpful. Yeah.
Some of how you attack special teams is just get good specialists, and that takes care of some of it itself. So
no doubt.
The part that's going to be really hard to replace, and Maher is not going to be the one that does this, at least from a personality standpoint. A special teams coach often has been the guy that is breaking down the team at the beginning of practice. Like, he's a vocal person, usually involved in this. Part of why Ed Foley was so regarded at Baylor is that he was well liked by the team, that he was good in this role. Turned out, at Nebraska, he might have been good in that role, but not good in the actual role of coordinating or getting specialists. And so I'm fascinated how that's all going to go. But ultimately, making the best of a situation is what Matt Rule's choosing to do here. It's interesting because it's not like they wouldn't have been able to go out and get a special teams coordinator if they wanted to.
Yeah, but
He seems very much like he likes what Eckler brought. He wants to keep that. I think they really like Maher. I got that sense last year.
That
not
is
just when it was
the case.
when it was Canadian, but like Rule would kind of go out of his way to mention how valuable he was.
He
in the
said
summer
it
and the spring.
when like before Eckler left, it was like, no, you guys don't understand. Like, Maher is a pretty big deal here, you know, and I believe him on that. Now,
I think it's rare to have a guy who can talk to both your kickers and punters. He's been through that entire process.
I have never been hey, you just lost a special teams coordinator and you have to go out and find the best special teams coordinator in the country. But the reason why this is, I think, garnering so much conversation, definitely the Eckler part and all the quote unquote drama that happened with that in the first place. But also, I would mention the initial reluctancy to hire Eckler in the first place.
Yeah.
And so you have these 3 years under Matt Rule that you've experienced so far. And if you look at him from just the special teams vacuum, you say bad, good. And the 1 year it was good, like actually really good.
I think you did that wrong. Bad, absolutely mind-numbingly, horrendously terrible. Good.
Like actually really good. Can we give him a really good last year?
I think it felt a good because by the end of the year, it wasn't like at the same level. But for largely the first 2 months of the season, the special teams was outstanding.
And remember, there was a reluctancy to hire Eckler in the first place, as Rule admitted. And so, like, you just wonder about I wonder about the sort of thought process that went on when you knew you were, at a certain point, you knew you were losing Eckler and you knew you were going to have to replace him. So I wonder how much thought sort of went into, okay, what are we going to do here compared to like, what's it going to look like and what do we want to be and all those different things. Like, it's another example for me of, trying to sort of, whether it be appease people or convince them that this is the right thing to do. I think they're probably worried about that a little bit too much. And I think that it's been a factor with the special team spot before. Now, with that being said, Brett Maher is, according to them, a great asset to the program, and maybe he's really good, and Nebraska doesn't miss a beat on special teams, and all that's great, and it works out for them. That's certainly possible. It's in the cards, but the most likely scenario is that Nebraska is probably not quite as good on special teams next year, which is an issue. I mean, they need to be really good because
the head man says they're going to be better.
I don't believe that.
I don't either, but he says it, so we have to at least acknowledge that. I don't know that it's going to be, how would I phrase it? I don't think it's going to be as good. I don't know that it will lead to, they had multiple touchdowns that came off of special teams where, Carter Nelson runs in the blocked punt. Kenneth Williams returns the kick return for a touchdown.
Yep.
I don't know if you're going to score off of your special teams the way that you did previously. I also think it'll be better than it was in 23 and 24. So that gap between good and bad, so acceptable is probably where it lands. Now, the part that hurts, though, is that because it was good in 25, you in theory, you were supposed to elevate yourself as a program off of it.
Because you had such good special teams, right? And so,
and now you have a schedule where it's like, okay, you're playing 3 top 10 teams. teams, presumably in Oregon, Indiana, which is outstanding special teams team.
So
Michigan State hired Iowa's special teams coordinator.
Woods, yeah.
So then you would expect Michigan State, which is normally a pretty good special teams team.
So I think we look at this from a vacuum, like in a vacuum, in a special teams vacuum. And I think it's difficult to do that. You have to look at it from a what does it mean for your whole team perspective. And I think what they did here after realizing that they were going to lose Eckler was basically say, all right, well, if you're doing the math in your head, and maybe this isn't like actually talked about inside the walls of the facility or anything like that, but maybe the thought is, okay, if we take a slight step back on special teams and we're like a lot better on defense than we were, especially at the end of the year last year, then maybe we can make that in more of a vacuum and say, we need to be really, really good at special teams. We need to be really, really good at defense. And we need to be really, really good at offense. You can't like prioritize one thing or the other. That's what has bothered a lot of people about special teams for a long time here because they feel like coaches haven't emphasized it enough. And if you were reading that into this situation right here, it would be hard for me to blame you. Like, right, it would be hard for me to blame.
No, I think it's fair to be apprehensive about what it looks like and how it goes. I think my understanding of this is that they would rather than go start over at special teams. They liked how it looked and sounded last year coming from Eckler. They feel like they can replicate that enough without the energy or the person.
But how much of that is like,
I don't know. That's what we're going to find out.
I mean, it sounds
like the strategic side of it, I think you can do. Like, I don't think that, but
how much of saying
can you get the same performances? Can you get the energy? Can you get the people that trusted that Mike Eckler was going to put them in position to make that? Can you get the bravado of him going to Jameer Khan and telling him on the Monday of the Michigan State,
you're going to block this
punt. And like, are you going to have that from Brett Maher and Nick Humphrey? We have no idea.
How much of saying that out loud too, of saying like, hey, don't worry, we're going to be fine and we're going to replicate it, is Rules
projecting
seemingly like almost he seemed pretty triggered that Eckler didn't sign the extension and left, right? Like, I don't know if it's personal. I don't know what it is, but they wanted to make it very, very clear that it was not just him that made the special teams so good last year, that it was the apparatus and all that stuff. And now we have that. We have bottled it up and we have presented the bottle to Brett Maher and Nick Humphrey, and they're going to, shake it up and let it explode on special teams.
Some Mentos in there,
right?
The Mentos into the Coke, and then lift the cap off and shoot it.
That's where I just don't know what to. I don't know what to read into the stuff that he says or how he sort of projects things, because I can't I feel like part of him saying, hey, we're going to be fine on special teams, and maybe that's not the direct quote or whatever, but projecting, hey, we're going to be good on special teams, is the fact that they want to show everyone that they can be good on special teams without Mike Eckler, because they don't want it to be about Mike Eckler. And that bothers me.
So if that is true, but it leads to them actually being good on special teams because using that as motivation, it gets them to the point where
could work out that way too. Could work out that way too.
Even though it seems like a really petty way to get there, and we don't know.
I mean, they had a petty way of hiring Eckler in the first place.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's just what it is. I mean,
but to your point though, it could work.
If it does work, and that's the motivation that fuels it, great. The important thing is it works.
Yeah, right.
So
I guess I don't really care how they get there.
Yeah. A lot of it to me is I'm not worried the way that I was previously. I think they have specialists in the building that are significantly better than they did in 23 and 24. So that alone takes care of a lot of your concern. Like Kyle Cunanan, I feel good about as a kicker. Is he going to miss some kicks? Sure. Do kickers miss kicks? Yes. I think he was he missed 4 last year.
Yeah, he was solid.
Yeah, like you live with that. That's some of it is they gave him a lot of kicking opportunities, and then at other times they probably could have given him more, but chose to go for it and didn't get it.
Correct. Heinrich Haarberg.
Archie Wilson is going to be in his second year. I thought he was pretty good, and for what they asked him to do. I know that people were unhappy with sort of the net punting, but when you go through that drive chart, a lot of that had to do with where they stall out on the field, so he doesn't have to kick as far.
Yeah, he didn't punt it very far last year, but he always punted it to the right place in general.
But he certainly didn't punt it the wrong direction.
That's true. And
so from the lowest standard of which needed to be met, he did a decent job.
The thing that I thought that they were going to get with him that they didn't get was the funky, weird spinning ones that led to some sort of a turnover, but
which maybe that comes in year 2.
Maybe it's just a luck thing.
It's those are things that we see if he kind of grows as a player. And then with Wills, you went and got a long snapper, and the last time they did that with Kevin Gallick, it worked fine. And
I'm sure
we won't be talking about him again.
Yeah, that'd be great.
If you don't have to hear Jack Wills' name again, everybody high five.
Is that the guy's name? Jack Wills?
Pretty sure it's Jack Wills, yeah.
All right, way to go. Jack Wills. Schaefer name dropping long snappers. Yeah, you're right. That is a big portion of it.
Jack Wills, Nebraska, and you made me doubt it, but I was on it.
I never heard of that person. Sorry, I didn't know about. I knew about Gallic last year. I did not know about that guy, Jack Wills. John writes in on the text line. He says, "Rule says Nebraska will be good on special teams." Remember when that guy said that Jeff Sims would be an NFL quarterback? Yeah, he's a questionable source on.
Yeah, he said that Ed Foley was going to get it fixed, and it got worse. Like these are things that happen.
He did not get it fixed.
This is also, you watch with your eyes, you listen with your ears, and you take your inputs where you take your inputs.
Yep.
That's just how it.
And so if you're watching right now with your eyes, you're probably like, "Ooh, I don't like the fact that they lost Eckler." I don't like the fact that they are. Frankly, I think if you were going to keep it in house, you did the best you could with putting Maher in that spot. Like that's fine.
The important thing there's
I'm not out on Maher for the record.
Yeah, I don't think you are. I think there's important distinctions to make. They were never going to keep Eckler. That seems obvious. He was not staying here, full stop. So what do? Do you go out and get a different special teams coordinator that maybe changes up everything? Or do you promote from within because you like the system that it was? So I think, given the options that they had,
in the stage of the game they were at, too,
right?
Later.
They were choosing because it seems like, at least with the way that they went through December, they thought that there was a chance he was sticking around, even though he didn't sign that extension. He's still under contract, and he hadn't taken a job at that point. By the time you find out in January. And again, I don't know how many people use the same system Eckler does. So I think some of it was, hey, we don't want to just reverse course right here.
Yeah.
So I think they made the best of the situation
they did
could.
Fine. Yeah.
Now, could we get into why Mike Eckler's leaving, all of this?
Why is Josh Martin leaving and going to take a job in Texas? Is that anything?
I will point out where he is going is an incredibly well-off school and area. He is going to be very well compensated. But I want to say it's the same school Riley Van Poppel went to, which is in a really, really nice area of Texas.
And his dad was a longtime MLB pitcher, so probably pretty well off.
Yeah. Argyle, Texas. Okay. It's a suburb of Dallas. So I don't think it's not like he left to go to Plano East. No offense to Plano East.
That was where Rex Burkhead went, right?
He went to one of them. He went to Plano somewhere.
Maybe it was just Plano High.
Could be Plano High.
Yeah, I don't remember him being.
I only said Plano East because I heard it in a Chuck Klosterman podcast or audiobook. That's the only reason. No offense intended for Plano East.
Plano High for Rex Burkhead in Plano, Texas. All right. Let's take a break. If you have any thoughts on that, let us know. 402-951-1620. Of course, tweet at us. Leave a comment on the YouTube. And we'll get to those after we return on Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. But first, let's have a word with Underdog Fantasy Football's biggest game is right around the corner, and you can get in on all the action with Underdog right now in Nebraska. If you are not on Underdog, first of all, get there. Second of all, we have a little bit of an enticement for you because new customers score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you make your first $5 fantasy entry. Playing on Underdog Very easy. Head to the app, make picks on if a player will go higher or lower on stats like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, and more in this big game coming up on Sunday. If you get those right, you could win up to 5,000 times your cash. Think about that. Also, coming up for the game on Sunday, there's new promos dropping daily in the app. So if you like making picks and like making money, then Underdog is the place to be. What are you waiting for? Download the app today. Use promo code HAPPER1620 to score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5 on fantasy. That's promo code HAPPER1620. Underdog, make picks, win money. Must be 19 plus and present in Nebraska. Terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing get terms _DFS_.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. Nicholas writes in on Twitter at Happer and Schaefer on Eckler. Can you guys just say the uncomfortable part out loud? Does it boil down to two brothers just not liking each other? Was it money? Well, I don't know. I
it
don't.
wasn't money.
I don't.
Absolutely,
know.
100% was not money.
I don't think they didn't like each other, but there was always. We're talking about Eckler and Rule. There was always like an energy that just didn't feel like it fit.
Yeah, I thought we discussed it.
Yeah,
Mike Eckler wanted a role that was bigger than Matt Rule was going to give him.
No, but talking about how they interacted with each other. Do you think that was any like?
No, I don't. Yeah. From what I understand from the conversations I've had, like obviously there was the awkwardness on the sideline, which I think had more to do with Rule just not wanting to do that in the moment of the game going on.
Yeah.
And then Rule would make jokes about how he would try to avoid Eckler when he get to the office because he couldn't handle that much that early in the morning.
He's crazy.
But he also complimented him a ton, talked about him as one of the best teachers he's ever been around. It clearly thinks highly of his ability to coach football. I think he's, if anything, those podcast appearance with the Zach Gelb,
Zach Gelb,
and then the Sports Nightly, it sounded like someone that was a little bit like miffed that this didn't work or last longer. Yeah. More than it was someone who didn't like Mike Eckler. I do think there's always that element though where Matt Rule said it, like I don't think he wants assistant coaches to be
stars
bigger than their station.
Which is kind of an odd thing to say. I mean,
it is, and I understand where it comes from, but it also,
if you're good, then you're going to be loved by the fan base.
I think it makes more sense if that comes from someone who didn't go out of his way to start a podcast, who doesn't go on Pat McAfee and make himself his own brand.
Was it because that he wants to be the star?
Well, that's what it's presented as. Yeah. I think some of it is that he has a very top-down leadership style. I don't think he wants feedback coming back.
That has been clear from day one.
Right.
He is like, that was the thing that he has, I think, as a positive over some of his predecessors.
Yeah,
like,
there's
question. Never been any doubt who's in charge.
Yeah. There was plenty of doubt in the previous two coaching regimes.
Especially
I don't know that I had any doubt when Popolini was here.
No.
I had plenty of doubt when Mike Riley was being dictated to by the AD.
Definitely.
And there's a fair amount of doubt as to who was running things when Scott Frost was involved.
That is also true. I usually think about Riley in that case, but yes, Frost.
Well, too. There's some examples in there. But Matt Rule very much puts himself front and center. And so there's that element to it, but I don't think that caused him to want Mike Eckler to not be here. He very much did. Like, if you take them at face value, and I have no reason not to, and especially with some of the conversations I've had, they tried to make him a more wealthy individual than really what anyone might have assumed. They tried to keep him here. He chose not to be here. That's where I think Matt Rule is mostly annoyed. Like, you wanted this job. You came to me in the interview process and said, I want to come back to Nebraska. I want to be a part of this. Why are you now leaving? The job isn't done.
Yeah.
I think that's, and Matt Rule has lost coaches before, and I don't think he's reacted like that. Part of this is, I think why did
Eckler want to leave in the first, like, is it just the job stuff? Did he feel like he
wants a bigger say in things and he wants to go back to coaching defense?
He always had great things to say about Rule. I mean, Eckler did.
I think they genuinely liked each other. I don't think there's any like animosity that was there before the departure. Now, obviously, and I feel
when you didn't sign the extension,
it could have been handled much better from Matt Rule's side of things. Now it feels like there's a lot of sour grapes in that regard. But I don't think that was there before. It's just a lot of it is the personality clash of, I want a larger role. No, this is what you are. I don't want to be defined as this. And I think he wanted to say as to how the defensive coordinator thing was going to go. I think, there's just a lot that's in there.
Here's Black Cat on YouTube. We're talking about Josh Martin and his departure before. He says it's only weird because Rule went out of his way to name drop a guy last month who left or no one cares about, and then he left for a high school job. Yeah, it was sort of jarring. Nobody would have thought about that at all if he
with Josh Martin.
If he had just left 2 days ago for a high school job, and either Eckler was still here or Rule hadn't mentioned that he was probably going to get elevated to some sort of co-coordinator type of thing, right, and he just left for the high school job, everybody would be like, "Oh, okay, whatever." But then he mentioned him. But you could only do so much about the timing, I suppose.
Right.
Like, I mean, you're just a victim of that.
Right.
The high school, the rich high school in Texas comes in, and you're like, all right, well, gotta go. But then people look at it and say, oh, well, there's been some indecisiveness on special teams, and it's a high school job compared to potentially a co-coordinator type of thing at Nebraska, and then you start to wonder about it. Like, I get why people wonder, but it's also
don't know if there's any other reason.
It's pretty explainable.
Yeah,
it's pretty explainable. Now, the other thing that Rule doesn't have going for him right now in terms of public perception is, and this
winning
is most
football.
of it, is winning football games. Exactly.
That might be the biggest thing.
And so everybody gets a little bit more cynical when they're not winning football games, and that's where we're at right now. John says Tony White saw it after 2 years. Eckler saw it after 1. They're getting out while they still have good standing in the business, and Rule hasn't ruined their reputation. I mean, Eckler's been
entirely different situation.
Eckler's been on staffs that got fired before.
I mean, they're entirely different situations. They're not similar. Tony White left in part because I think he felt like he didn't want to be oversaw by Phil Snow. I think when he came here, it was never expected that he was going to be here for a long time to begin with anyways. And he passed on head coaching jobs to come back to Nebraska in 2024 to begin with. So, like, he had opportunities to leave. So if it was that bad, he would have done it, But he thought they had a chance in 24 to have an even better defense than they did in 23. Didn't really, he and Rule and Butler had disagreements as to what the defense was supposed to look like. He exits stage left. Terrence Knighton goes with him. Matt Rule has to remake things on defense. John Butler comes in. Phil Snow oversees everything. Like, at some point, there's too many cooks in the kitchen, and Matt Rule has to if Rob Orich is going to have success, he needs to be able to do it on his own terms.
Absolutely.
He does not need to do it with Phil Snow looking over his shoulder and Matt
Rule telling him what to do.
Matt Rule being like, well, I would have done it like this.
Yeah.
It just didn't work. There was things happening with Nebraska's defensive approach that just wasn't going to work for Tony White, and so he left. And it's not like here's the other part of this. Has nothing to do with being worried about job security or any of that. Look where he went. He went to Florida State. They were mired in a situation where Mike Norvell wasn't even going to survive 2025.
It's warmer there.
He did because they don't want to pay the buyout. So, he's in. It's not like he jumped in a better life raft on a sinking ship. He took an opportunity because he just felt like he needed to get away from where he was at there.
Right. And not because he was going to get fired or anything like that. But all right, let's take a break. We'll come back. Joey has the headlines when we return, but I first want to remind you that 1620 The Zone wants to send you, yes, you, to the Post Malone show with Jelly Roll and Carter Faith. That is the Big Ass Stadium Tour, Friday, July 17th at Jack Trice Stadium in Ames. The winner, when you enter online at 1620thezone.com, will get a pair of tickets to the show and $200 to use toward travel, food, whatever you want, just $200. You can enter online for the Post Malone concert in Ames this July right now on our website, 1620thezone.com. Before we get to the headlines, we got a tweet here from VJ, our friend VJ. He says at Happer and Schaefer on Twitter, over under 26 million for Tarek Skubal. What you got? Need it to be contentious for the vibes to be terrible in Detroit. I think we can all handshake meme on that. We need whatever happens with this groundbreaking arbitration hearing with Tarek Skubal to be, because it's already contentious. They have filed. If anybody is they're probably wondering what I'm talking about. But basically, in baseball, before you reach free agency, you go into these arbitration, years, and the team offers you a contract, and then you say what you should be worth and what you should get paid. And obviously, if you don't agree, then you go into an arbitration hearing. Well, Skubal and his side said 32 million. And the Tigers said 19 million. That is very far apart.
Yeah, and the 19 million would be the highest.
And so whoever wins,
pitcher,
quote unquote, wins, which nobody really wins here. Whoever wins, I mean, there's going to be some feelings on each side. And I agree. That's exactly what I'm rooting for. I'm rooting for it to be contentious.
From my understanding, though, the way this works is both sides put forth their number. The arbiter then determines which of the two numbers he's going to award. He doesn't set an amount himself.
Oh, is that right?
That's how I understand it. And so he's either going to award the full amount to Skubal, and in which case the Tigers have already said if Skubal wins his arbitration case, they will not sign another starting pitcher. Now, if it's awarded to the Tigers, there's a chance that Skubal just says, I'm not going to pitch for you.
Yeah, okay, you're right, yeah.
In 2026.
So I'm reading Athletic Story. The panel is likely to use the $25.5 million midpoint as a measuring stick. If the panel deems that Skubal is worth less than $25.5 million, the Tigers would likely win the case. If the panel concludes that he's to be worth even one more million than $25.5 million, Skubal's side would be victorious. This is,
I personally am rooting for Skubal here because one less pitcher for the Tigers.
That's what I'm saying. That'd be great.
Great.
Yeah.
Plus, just leading.
Or if you root for the Tigers, then you could say, well, maybe he gets traded then at that point.
I think either way he's getting traded. Yeah. I think that we've reached that threshold already. It fascinates me because Detroit was a place that used to spend gobs of money.
Yeah.
And then I'm pretty sure that the family that took over after the Little Caesars king passed, they don't want to spend the amount of money. And a lot of it was he wanted to see a World Series before, he passed. And so he was Miguel Cabrera until you're 40, not my problem.
Maglio Ordonez.
Justin Verlander, Max Scherzer got paid.
People forget Maglio Ordonez was going ham in 2006.
There could have been reasons for that.
He was yeah, he's a great player.
He's a good player. The ball was juice. Other things could have been juice. Who knows? So, but yeah, it's as two AL Central people, I think we'd be okay. Really, regardless how this goes,
I'm fine with chaos here. That would be excellent.
It was amazing though that the Tigers number that they put forward was that.
Yeah,
clearly the best pitcher in baseball.
It was 2 straight Cy Youngs, and he got offered a $19 million contract. You got to at least give him 23.
And from their perspective, hey, we're making the biggest offer that any pitcher has received in arbitration.
Yep.
Also, you did the bare minimum. You made a $500,000 offer over what David Price got over a decade ago.
Mm-hmm.
So not stop patting yourself on the back here, Yeah. At the same time,
I think they're going to lose.
I think Skubal wins.
Yeah.
It'd be, how these things work, right? The team comes in and they have their list of reasons as to why he's only going to what are you going to say?
Because that's where it gets contentious. Yeah, that's why you'd be smart to just never go to arbitration.
Most smart organizations don't go to
because you don't want all that stuff out on the table.
Well, you certainly don't want to have to try to tell someone that they're not.
Well, actually, you're not very good. Wait a minute. This is the first time I'm hearing about this.
If you're Skubal, you're oh, so that bobblehead night you have built around me and all these other things.
Not worth $25 million. Interesting.
Okay.
All right, Joey. Sorry to delay here. We had a Skubal conversation to get to. What do we have for the headlines today?
All right. I didn't struck as as I didn't struck gold like I've been doing the last few days, but I found a story that you might want to take right off the bat. But the first headline is Florida man says he tossed $4,000 in stolen public meat after girlfriend found with another man.
Now, why would he do that? I love meat.
So $4,000 worth of meat.
But it was stolen, so it wasn't even his own meat.
Yeah, it was Publix.
Publix, the grocery store.
So he just went on a rampage at Publix because his girlfriend was cheating on him,
and then he threw away the meat.
Yeah. So that's
I have
the first
questions here. One, I don't understand.
Well, it sounds like you're interested in clicking.
Yeah, let's click.
Okay, I'm thankful you did, because the second one might not be as interesting as the first one.
All right.
So this is at Palm Coast, Florida. A Jacksonville man, another reason to not like Jacksonville. A Jacksonville man accused of stealing thousands of dollars in meat from 2 Publix stores in Palm Coast told detectives he threw most of it away after going to his girlfriend's home and finding her cooking with another man, according to the Flagler County Sheriff's Office. So deputies arrested 30-year-old Henny's Alvarez Reyna earlier this month after surveillance footage and investigative leads connected him to thefts at the Belle Terre Crossings Publix and the Islands Walk Publix on January 5th. Detective says
multiple
Alvarez,
Publix thefts.
Yeah, 2 of them.
Interesting.
So detectives say Alvarez Reyna first entered the Belle Terre store around 7:43 in the evening, where he removed $1,574 worth of beef and lamb from the shelves before walking out without paying. Less than 20 minutes later, he arrived at the Island Walk location and stole an additional $2,084 in pork, sirloin, brisket, tenderloin, and personal care items.
That's what I'm talking about.
So investigators identify Alvarez Reyna as the driver of the suspect vehicle seen at both stores. When questioned, he reportedly told detectives that after completing the thefts, he drove to his girlfriend's residence. There, he said he discovered she was cooking with another man, prompting him to throw away most of the stolen meat.
There's something that still doesn't connect here. Why did he throw away all of the meat that he stole? Only out of he stole the meat for her.
Yeah, that's the part that I don't understand. Like, what is the connection between the meat and her?
So I'm
also,
assuming
how much cooking were they going to do?
It's $4,000 worth of meat.
That's a lot.
That's a lot of meat.
Like, how was he able to steal all of this? He just put it all in a cart and then just took the cart straight out?
It had to be. You can't carry $4,000 worth of meat.
Yeah, that's a lot.
So you go home and you get angry because your girlfriend's cooking with another dude, and then you're just like, hey, I got all this meat for you, honey, and then throw it away? Never mind, I don't.
But then also, where were you going to store it? Because chances are your apartment doesn't have a deep freeze big enough for $4,000.
If you don't have a deep freeze, then
now maybe they have one of those apartments that have like the garage that you could put the deep freeze in there or something.
Maybe we're gonna have the biggest barbecue of all time.
Party, yeah. I don't know. I'm disappointed for Meat Man or Beef Man. He would not like this story at all.
No, he would not.
He just does not like wastefulness at all when it comes to beef or meat.
Shout out to Publix, though.
I have never been to a Publix.
You ever had a pub sub?
Never been to Publix.
I had a pub sub, and I ate it on the beach a couple of years ago, and I felt like that was a really good time for me. Yeah, I went, but the Publix took so long.
Really good time in my life.
The Publix took way too long to make the sandwiches.
Why?
I don't know. I must have hit the rush at the wrong time or something like that.
So but did you go up to a counter and order?
You can order online, which we did, and the whole point of ordering online is like it's there when you're done. It took me 20 minutes to get there, 15 minutes.
Now, what kind of sandwich did you get?
I can't remember, but it was really good.
People claim that their like chicken tender sandwich thing is really good.
It was good. I liked it. It was the first time I'd ever had a pub sub before. It was good, and we took them all to the beach, and we just ate them. It was a great time. It was me and a bunch of people.
Was this a few years ago when you could have read your Chuck Klosterman book while you were at the beach too?
That was after I got the Chuck Klosterman book on the way back. Okay. I think, yeah, in the Atlanta airport. Yeah,
you're still on page 31.
I still didn't finish the first chapter.
Outstanding.
I do appreciate the 90s though. All right. Oh, by the way, text from the 402, Publix is more expensive than most other stores. All right, maybe that makes up for some of the expensive meat that
meat costs have gone up.
Yeah, that's true. All right, let's take a break here. Thank you, Joey. Those are the headlines. When we come back, 8 o'clock hour, Sam McEwen will join us at the bottom of it. Wanted to come on 1620 The Zone. All right, halfway home on a Wednesday. Happer and Schaefer, 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. Connor Happer, Mike Schaefer, Joey Colbert with you. We actually do have sports tonight. The Creighton Blue Jays are back in action at Georgetown. What could go wrong? So you can listen to that 6:30 tip-off here on 1620 The Zone with a 6 o'clock shoot-around.
No, pregame.
Our pregame.
Pregame with John. There's no shoot
There
around.
is no shoot-around because unsportsmanlike conduct ends at 6 o'clock.
Wow.
Feels like it's so far in the future.
Full 4 hours.
How many times
content.
will they talk about Nazis today?
That's a great question. Is John doing the show today? Probably not.
I would assume not if he's got a game.
Maybe they maybe they do the last hour live in quotation marks. Something like
with
that.
a beautiful little graphic.
That game will be on Peacock. But speaking of college basketball games on the television, did you see this? Did you hear about this? FS1 is reporting to us that it had its most watched college basketball game ever on the channel on Sunday to watch Rink Mass score like 4 points.
I don't think they included the Rink Mass part.
No, that's not what it says. Anyway, no. 1.366 million viewers for Illinois and Nebraska, the most watched college basketball game on FS1 ever.
Pretty remarkable. I wouldn't have expected that. And then you think about it, and it's like probably very rarely does FS1 have two top 10 teams playing each other.
Yeah. Maybe Nebraska's about to be on this run here because most of their games are not on like major.
Yeah.
They're not on Fox. They're not on NBC. I guess I don't know the rest of their TV schedule the rest of the year, but like I imagine there's a lot of FS1 and BTN, and let's check. What is the Purdue game going to be?
I know Kugler's on the call because he told me that yesterday.
It's a BTN.
So I'm assuming it's BTN, but I'm not 100% on that.
FS1.
Okay. So there you go. They have a chance to.
It could be the highest rated game.
Could be the
FS1.
highest midweek game on FS1 ever.
It's possible.
That needs to be the thing Nebraska shoots for. They just want to be the most watched team
on FS1.
On FS1. That would be actually pretty.
And then put up a banner at the end of the year. Put it right next to the crown banner.
Lots people watches. Lots of people watch us.
Needs more banners, and they still have never really played into the crown thing, and I'm still annoyed.
No, and probably the time is gone.
Oh, it is gone because
sadly
people have moved on. But the fact that they didn't open the season with like the coaches all wearing royal robes and everyone getting crowns, replica crowns,
Burger King crown.
It's so not the Burger King crowns. That is a negative.
It could have been a little bit better version of a crown than that.
It could have been. They could have been real crowns.
But no, they put no effort into it at all.
So I like how it happened yesterday. Obviously, Nebraska fans were taking their victory lap. Someone said that he did a list of teams that had never had that many people watch their basketball games, and one of them was Creighton. And then the Creighton fans jumped in again, and they said, people forget about that DePaul Christmas game yesterday. That was definitely not after an NFL game that had 3 million people watch it on Big Fox. It was the biggest game in college basketball history.
Yeah.
That was a great doubleheader for me.
It was the most watched game in college, in Fox history.
People across the country turned in for a pair of Jesuit schools.
They wanted to watch DePaul and Creighton. I get it. Creighton was wearing their baby blues. Kalkbrenner was going on.
Gathered around the fire after their Christmas ham.
Hey.
And they said, these are the teams we want to watch today.
I was just really happy to see that America finally wanted to, watch the
Big East basketball.
Watch the Big East basketball. Watch the Creighton Blue Jays. Watch Trey Alexander drop 32 points in that game.
This has been 2 years ago?
Yeah.
3 years ago.
3 years ago?
Yeah. The year they went to the Elite Eight.
We've been talking about that a lot lately.
I know. It's never not on my mind. That's probably why we've been talking about it.
And Schaefer still doesn't know what happened.
Yeah,
well, I know
there
was a foul that some would call a foul, but was called a foul.
But you didn't see the foul,
right? No, I don't know what the foul that some would call a foul, but was called a foul.
I don't want you to watch it because you would just watch it.
Look at you and be like, "Well, it was a
you
foul."
Would say, "Well, that was definitely,"
which is why they called it a foul.
That's exactly what would happen, and it would make me more angry than anything. That was definitely a foul. Anyway. So congratulations.
I really never want
Nebraska.
to see it. Like I truly just don't at this point.
I'm not sure how you've not seen it. It doesn't.
But why would I?
I don't know. Like just
like I didn't
on
watch
Twitter one day.
I wasn't there watching the game.
You ever go to your FYP on Twitter, your For You page?
I try to avoid that.
All right. Well then, I guess I don't know.
I mean, this might surprise you. And so there's Bishop, there's you, there's Padilla.
Yeah.
Who else is tweeting about Creighton in my timeline?
But on the FYP,
you live in this Creighton bubble where it's Creighton and Creighton and Creighton.
I do.
Over here in America, nobody cares. It's like I didn't follow
you could
Creighton.
Say that about any bubble.
I didn't live in Omaha. Like I had no I take that back. Sam McEwen would probably have tweeted about it.
He tweets about Creighton.
There's 3.5 to 4 people that would have appeared in my timeline. Maybe Josh Peterson might have tweeted about it because he likes to tweet about things other people are tweeting about at the same time.
That is true.
That's genuinely what interests him the most about society is when we're all tweeting about the same thing. And he gets mad when I'm not interested in what's happening.
Fun. I like it.
Well, yeah, you're part of that too, but you're already in the Creighton bubble.
Yeah.
So what I'm getting at is I wouldn't have had any reason to see it.
But the FYP, it gives you things that you might be interested based on people who you follow.
Sure,
or tweets
but I guess I'm saying when you only follow 4 out of 800 accounts that might have tweeted about it.
Okay.
Now, was I part of a family text on my in-laws side that was just going off about this?
And then
but nobody posted a video.
You just ignored them. You didn't watch the play to console
You
them.
think they wanted to hear from me?
Probably not.
Nobody wants to hear from me.
I certainly wouldn't have wanted
when
to.
it relates to this or most other things.
So congratulations. Nebraska is going to be a television darling, apparently, in the back half of or the back part of the season here. And then they play at the artist formerly known as the Rack on Saturday. Have you heard this whole scandal about the stuff about the Rutgers
I have
tickets and the
one Caleb Henry brought this to my attention before, but then Kevin Kugler talked about it yesterday and how it's the most expensive get-in ticket going on in college basketball right now, and it's Nebraska
because they're
Rutgers.
Giving away some sort of one of
there's thousands of dollars worth of anime cards that are going to be throughout.
I don't even know what an anime card is.
I assume it's the equivalent of a Pokemon card.
I was just gonna say
or
probably
a Dragon Ball Z.
Everything's
card.
a card these days. Why does everybody care about cards so much?
Did you get into Top Shots? You seem like someone who might have gotten into Top Shots.
My old dear co-host and baby boy Ryan Tubb tried to get me into the NBA Top Shot thing, and I signed up for it one day. I'm like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever seen. I own. It's basically crypto. I own.
Yeah, except the market on it completely.
It's
plummeted.
horrible.
Yeah,
it's horrible.
Yeah, but
classic Tub.
So it's like that, except they're physical cards now because people like the physical cards. They've given up on the ETF version of cards.
Physical media is back,
or the non-fungible token, the NTF version of it.
Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah,
or
that was a big
NFTs.
thing.
NFT.
Yeah,
too many acronyms.
Yeah,
we need to cut down on society's use of acronyms. Too many of them.
What a take.
There's a lot. And then I think everything's just getting abbreviated even more. So what are you going to do?
Elsewhere, can I interest you in this, though, since you're not interested in watching the foul call by Lee Castle in the 2023 NCAA tournament? How about this? Are you interested in buying a seat from the Devaney Center? You, not just Mike Schaefer, can own a piece of the Devaney Center as it undergoes some renovations, some significant renovations upcoming. They have to remove several seats from the Bob. So you can right now add to your cart. Actually, there's a couple that are sold out at this point. You could have bought a standard arena seat for an entire seat for $350. you could have bought a pair of seats, it appears, and like an end row, seats 1 and 2 for $1,000. I fail to see how the deal really works out for you there. And now, so you can't buy those anymore. Now you can get a side of a chair, like the metal part, the side that's up against the aisle. You could get that for $100. It has the Nebraska N on it. Or you could get the chair backs, just the back of the chair with the number for $60. That's what we are down to on buying a piece at a Vanny Center.
The 3 was a 330.
Yeah,
330.
The 350.
350 for the standard arena seats. I've spent plenty of time.
Could you imagine how stinky that seat cushion is?
This is part of it. Is like it seems cool to own, but then like, do I need it? How am I going to display it? It'd probably go in my basement, but then like other stuff is in there. I don't know.
I've always loved the idea of buying, because they sold off a bunch of the seats from Rosenblatt, or people took them or whatever it was, and you see them scattered throughout town. Like that's pretty cool. It's just, do you have room for it? And like, it's
more of a man cave thing.
Do you have a story or things like that are behind it? Now, if you could like buy your seat in the Devaney Center,
that'd be something.
That'd be a different thing. But
that would be cool.
People have fond memories of the Devaney Center.
I mean, the Devaney numbered chair back is actually something that you could easily display. You just get it up on the wall.
Yeah, you can put it up on the wall. Yeah.
Or I could put it over here on my desk, actually.
Whoa. On top of your nameplate that you have received?
Well, no, the nameplate is sitting on top of the cubicle wall up there. So
Schaefer, to continue
to
stake claim to his desk area, has received
there will be no Matt McMaster issues for me.
Oh, I need to update the graphics.
Somebody sent him a nameplate, and I think I have an idea who this somebody is without actual knowledge of it, just off of vibes. So we'll see if that ends up being true.
Yeah, similar to not watching that foul that was a foul but was called a foul.
I don't like this bit.
That's gonna happen forever. When you bring it up, it's gonna be that.
All right.
I don't know that I want to know. Now it's more fun for me to just live in this mystery world where someone sent a nameplate for my desk.
Sal writes in, my wife doesn't like all my collectible beer mugs, so I can't imagine she would like a seat from the Devaney Center. No, probably not.
Do you collect anything?
No.
I used to collect brewery beer signs, like the tin tackers, and I had a decent sized collection of them. And then when we moved from Lincoln to Omaha, I had nailed them so close to the wall that it was like difficult to get them out of the wall without ruining the sign. So I ruined like 3 signs, and I got mad and I just gave up on the whole collection.
I think I'm
it's a very bad decision by me.
I think I'm generally out on or I've become out on putting stuff on walls. Like I used to be really in on putting stuff on walls, like posters and things like that. And then I realized this looks horrible. Now you can frame it so it looks good.
Not everything has to look horrible,
and things like that. Like, but I'm a minimalist as far as decorations are concerned. So that probably leads to me not.
How does that work in the marriage?
I think we are both like minimally. That.
Yeah, that's good. That makes it easier. We moved in August. The end of August, and have put exactly one thing on the wall so far in the entire house. We not counting the televisions that were hung, but otherwise have just put up one thing, and we have all of this like frame stuff that's just sitting around, and nobody wants to do it, and I don't want to do it, and I hate it. I think it looks great when it's on the wall for the most part. I hate the act of having to measure it out. Make sure that it's straight, be annoyed that my house is settled so everything slightly slants in a direction that I don't want it to.
Yep.
All of these types of things.
You almost have to get a professional to do all of it. And it's very, very concerning.
I hate hanging stuff. I absolutely, because it's never level. It's never how I want it. I'm not good at it.
No, we're not good. We are not carpenters. This is not what we do.
Yeah, I'm not good at any of that stuff. But the expectation is that I should be.
You're a man. You have a house. You have to do things right.
I can do some stuff. I make the money to pay other people to do the stuff I can't do.
I just go on YouTube.
YouTube
is the answer.
YouTube is the answer.
You want to learn how to fix your car? YouTube. You want to learn how to be an electrician? YouTube. YouTube rocks.
I I am not messing with electrical currents because I watched a YouTube video.
Oh, no. They know what they're talking about on YouTube.
Yeah, okay.
I'm telling you, man.
Yeah, the internet has never led anyone astray.
No, YouTube. What do you think they're doing? They're putting fake videos on YouTube to make you shock yourself?
I'm saying that just because you watch the video of someone doing it successfully doesn't mean your replication of it couldn't lead to you being electrocuted.
No, I like watch along with the video and pause it step by step. And, I'm aware that I could potentially get electrocuted.
I had a buddy who tried to do this by changing his own brake pads by watching YouTube, and it just resulted in him having his car like completely unusable and then needing to get a tow truck to then tow. Like the whole thing was such a wonderful experience as the guy who's like, yeah, you shouldn't do this. Just because you watched a video on it doesn't mean you can repeat it.
At that point, if we're talking about brake pads, I'm going to take it. Yeah.
And he had some previous car experience, but it was delightful for me in a Schaefer moment to just watch it all play out.
One more thing before we talk to Sam McEwen here. So I saw this yesterday. There's a couple things going on with college baseball. People are excited about the college baseball season coming up in 9 days now, if you could believe it. A couple things going on with the D1 Council. This is from Kendall Rogers. He said a couple things yesterday. Sources, there's a great deal of confidence that the number of allowable fall games will increase from 2 to 4 during the April voting with the D1 Council. The measure, I'm told, has had overwhelming support amongst the D1 Oversight Committee.
Who is voting against
and
that?
Was pushed forward. I can't imagine anybody would, but
talk about an insignificant difference.
I don't think they wanted to go too far.
Yeah,
so that they're playing like full fall seasons.
But we're talking 2 to 4.
2 to 4.
Not 2 to 14.
That part is like that would not have got mentioned on the show. Excuse me. Here's the second part that is more important. Kendall says this. Here's more scoop for you. It is still in the discussion stages, but there appears to be at least some momentum involved with the potential of moving the NCAA baseball season back to a first weekend of March start date. Very long way to go, but it's something that has been re-energized by Clemson head coach Eric Bakich behind the scenes. Clemson head coach Eric Bakich was also really pushing for this when he was the head coach at Michigan as well. It took them to the College World Series.
I will never acknowledge him as Clemson head coach Eric Bakich.
It's very odd.
It's going to be former Michigan coach Eric Bakich now at Clemson.
They will make the College World Series someday. They keep getting close and keep falling short. But I mean, that would be a big. I think immediately about where we are right now for the Northern teams who have to go on the road for literally that period of time
with such little prep outside.
Exactly. And so if you're starting,
we just had the Creighton coach on a week ago.
Yeah.
They don't have their facility yet, and so you're at such a disadvantage.
You could still, you could still start the season in March, go on the road for a week or two, and then actually get better weather when you come here. Because the truth of it is, here in Omaha anyway, or in Nebraska, it is cold the entire season until like until May. And even then, it's kind of spotty.
You'll get some nice days in there, here or there, but you will have some cold April nights.
And so we're talking about
May nights.
We're talking about attendance dips and then the competitive nature of the sport as well. Like, it'd be a huge win for the Northern teams if the season got moved back 3 weeks. Now, then the question is, how would you do with the rest of the calendar, and when would the College World Series be, and all those other things? But there's no other way to read that, if that were to happen, than a giant win for everyone who's not in the SEC or the Sun Belt.
Yeah, no, I agree. I would be okay with it just from a feasibility standpoint in terms of like how the schedules kind of work. I also think baseball gets lost starting in February when it does too.
Yeah, that's true.
A little bit as well. And so I am 100% in support of this.
All right, there you go. So keep an eye on that one as college baseball is just a few days away. Unbelievably so. Want to hear from you guys? 402-951-1620 on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline. Once again, call or text that number. Feel free to tweet at us throughout the remainder of the show. A reminder before we take a break as well, the Supernovas are back in action next Thursday, the 12th at 7 at the CHI Center And you could listen this week to Unsportsmanlike Conduct for your chance to win tickets into the game. Once again, that's the Supernovas with some local stars next Thursday, the 12th at 7 o'clock at the CHI. John and Josh will have your opportunity to win tickets into the game. When we come back, Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald will join Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. More Happer and Schaefer on 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. We're joined now on the Prairie Flower Casino Zone hotline by our good friend Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. Sam, good morning. How are you?
Good guys. How are you doing?
Good. So all the mess over the last, I don't know if you want to call it a mess, whatever it's been over the last several weeks with how Nebraska was on special teams and how they got to where they got to as of last night with bringing on Brett Maher in a more, front-facing capacity as the special teams coordinator. Is this the best Nebraska could have done given their situation, or are you surprised at the direction they went?
I think they probably could have hired a standalone special teams coordinator if that's what they had wanted to do. Yeah, I mean, I don't think that would have been that hard because, coaching staffs are still shifting around, and Nebraska, I'm sure, had the money. If it had desired to go out and hire a sort of a standalone coordinator because it felt like it needed to have that person in the room. That said, I think Matt Rule's kind of underlined it and said he likes the teaching system that Mike Eckler brought. The guys that are here have that teaching system, and if you brought in somebody else, they may not have that teaching system. And so I think they want to stay with what Eckler's system, but Eckler didn't want to stay here. He wanted to have the defensive assistant coaching position added to his role as special teams coordinator. And that's not something Nebraska was going to provide. So I think this is probably what Nebraska thinks is the best approach based on trying to have the best of both worlds.
How do you feel about Brett Maher being kind of elevated into this role? We know about his experience at Nebraska. We know he's a successful NFL kicker, and he's been involved with kicking operations sort of off and on the last couple of years. How do you just sort of perceive him being in kind of an elevated role in that circumstance?
I think you nailed his resume in the sense that it would be one thing if he hadn't really been around at all and he was new to Matt Rule, but he isn't. He's going to be, familiar with everybody in the program. I think they like Brett Maher. I think they like his temperament and the way that he goes about things. Again, I think he's like a lot of specialists. He's pretty contained and controlled. I mean, he's got a personality, but he's, understands what the role entails. I think Nick Humphrey is going to do a lot too. So I think Maher's job is to work with the specialists and probably to operate the punt and the field goal and the PAT operations. And then I think you're going to see Humphrey work a lot on return units. And yeah, so like my sense of it, and he might do kickoff too. It's hard to know exactly how they're going to divvy it up, but I think Humphrey's going to take on the portions that Eckler I thought was really good at, which was the return stuff. And I think Maher will take on the specialists, and they were okay on the kick and punt unit, field goal units. They were decent there. I wouldn't call them elite, but I thought they did pretty well. They were good in return, and that's the area where Humphrey needs to continue to. Aside from the last two games on kickoff returns, they were good in returns, and Humphrey needs to keep that work going. What Eckler had started there needs to keep going. So I think their hope is that Humphrey's going to take over a lot of those things and get those things done in the same way that Eckler was doing it, without probably some of the energy and juice that was Eckler was bringing to the table.
In general, Sam, how do you kind of feel, or what do you think of the general swell of Nebraska's coaching staff? I mean, they added Miles Taylor, they added Roy Manning. You still have Phil Snow involved. You now have co-coordinators with special teams. It feels like there's more people than ever involved in Nebraska's operation with titles, with distinct titles, not quality control, not analysts, and they're paying more money than ever for assistant coaches because they really built this thing out. How do you see that as a process? And is that something, because Nebraska has the kind of wealth to be able to do that, do you think that could be a good thing? Can that be an advantage? Can you keep guys in that sort of role where you have a guy working specifically with safeties, but you also have Addison Williams as your defensive backs coach? What do you sort of make of this?
I think you're pinpointing something really good, and I'm going to have an opinion now, but I want to kind of see how it marinates over spring, and I may change it or evolve it. I think, and I'm going to atomize this a little bit. I think that Matt Rule is a big believer in we have to put people around the players who can get them to be their best. And I don't think he's like a minimalist in that way. I think he's a maximalist. Like, we want our players to not only be shaped by a position coach, but maybe a position coach and the nutritionist and the strength coach and the life coach, Gus Felder. And like, so you'll see how the recruits will often like put photos. We saw this with Junior Day. I got pictures with Kristen Coggin, the nutritionist. Well, it probably didn't happen 10 years ago. It just wasn't part of the presentation. I think Will believes that you got to put a lot of adults around kids today. And you have to develop these guys because they're not necessarily coming to school with maybe some of the adult habits that, you and I had growing up. Maybe the parenting that we had was just a little different. So I think he's a believer in that, A. B, they're going to get the defense right. I mean, and I think some of this is you're seeing those excess position coaches on the defensive side of the ball. And there is a distinct desire to get that right. It really rubbed Rule personally the wrong way. What happened with the defense last year in the back half of the year after the USC game? Like, John Butler was basically a perfect fit for the USC team. So Nebraska's defense that night was pretty dang good. Yeah. Let's be honest. And that was because John Butler is built to coordinate against that. Everything that happened after that game, including against UCLA, which made plays against Nebraska, what was obviously not the fit. And so they feel like they need to get that stuff right, and they need to get it right, like right away next year. I mean, they're gonna have a nice ramp, in the first 5 games, I feel like, but the last 7 games are a total bear. And Indiana's going to come at you real quick. They're going to kick the ball off, and then on October, whatever it is, and then that's going to come at you real fast. So I think there's a desire to really get the defensive side of the ball right. On offense, there aren't nearly as many coaches. There just aren't. There's 2 for the offensive line, which I actually think is good. And for what it's worth, that was what they did back in the day with Milt Tenneper and Dan Young. And Dan Young coordinated special teams too, but they had 2 offensive line coaches for all those years, all the glory years. They really did. And so I think I think that's a good move, but the other guys are they got their own position coach, and I think we'll trust Dana to decide how he wants to divvy that up. And maybe Dana's a little bit more of a minimalist, but on the defensive side of the ball, you're right. I mean, Phil Snow is still there, and like, what will his role be? Like, what is he gonna do now? Now that pretty much every position has an assistant. Like, it's not just the position coach, but the assistant position coach. That'll be a good question. It'll be interesting to find out.
Sam, a lot of the things that you hear, especially after season's end, from increase in dollars that are going to be at your fingertips, investment, whatever it might be, whether it's football or basketball. And I was interested in when you talked to Dan, that he said specifically, quote, Nebraska basketball will get a significant percentage increase of the rev share dollars, not just the investment into the program. I think that's an important note in this situation. Why do you think they're deciding to go that direction with that pile instead of just like, hey, don't worry, we're going to invest?
Well, I think there's a desire to retain. So one of the things that we're seeing just nationwide is retention is probably the easiest way to sustain success than trying to do it through the portal over and over and over again. You have to retain your best players. And so I think there's an understanding that this season, I don't think I think Mast is coming quite cheap because I think he was paid last year. So I don't think Mast is, that's kind of pennies on the dollar based on the fact that he didn't play last year. Prager is not expensive.
He will be.
I think he will be. That's my point. Yeah. So Prager will be, and Stanford will be too. I mean, So those two players alone are going to be difficult to retain if you don't have the kind of financial investment. And again, I feel like Frager is going to have some opportunities in true NAL that he would not have if he went to I don't know, Duke or Houston or Alabama. So like there's some opportunities that Frager has around here that he's not going to get in Tuscaloosa. So that helps. But yeah, I mean, I think there's just an understanding that you want to retain. And one of the things that we've seen, one of the reasons this team is really good is because A, they retained some of the key parts. B, they brought back a guy that was already here in Jamarcus Lawrence. And C, they hit on Frager, and then of course Stanford, but like they hit on Frager. And once you hit on a guy, you do not want to lose him. You want to keep him here. And especially if he's from Lincoln. So I think there's just an understanding that that's what they're going to have to do going forward. And then, okay, so you're losing Rick Mast. You don't really know what you have in Oogie. You don't know. I mean, we'd like to say we know, but we don't know. He's been hurt. And so is he going to be the successor to Mast? Or given the success that you've been able to have this season, let's say you go. Let's say you win 30 games or 29 or whatever. Go to the Sweet 16. Well, you might be able to go out and get a guy that's maybe a cut above an Oogie and go get a guy that's just different. But he's not going to be cheap. Maybe he wants to come to your school, but maybe he's like, hey, that's going to cost you $1.5 million. Well, Nebraska needs to be able to invest in that, because if you feel like you can go out and get a guy that's a cut above what Oogie could do, and maybe he can come in and do all the things Mast's doing, then you take that shot. But you might be competing against, again, Alabama or Ole Miss or Texas, and you're going to have to pony up. So I think just based on what I know, the three guys that transferred from Iowa, I think Nebraska got the bargain of the three.
Definitely.
And, tip your cap to Fred Hoiberg for understanding what Stanford was capable of. But, what Freeman and Dix cost, is probably what a player who's averaging, let's say, again, like a 6'9.4, the way Mast is averaging, let's say 14 and 6 and 4 at a power conference school or even a mid-major. That guy's going to cost you $1.5 million or $2 million. So if Nebraska wants to go get a guy like that and say, hey, this is the last piece that puts us right back in the Sweet 16 and 27, then they'll have to have the money to do it.
Does any part of you, when you hear Dannon say that, is there a connected piece to this where it seems like it's easier to get the outside money still for a football team that has been struggling than a basketball team with a sort of out of body experience season like we're seeing right now in 25-26?
I think that might change a little. I think there are people who are really excited about what Nebraska basketball is doing. So I think there's that could change. I think there's some people that are basketball guys more than they're football guys. It has not, now to be clear, it hasn't worked at Kansas State, but Kansas State had basketball investment that in some ways outstrips the football team. And that's because they got some guys down there that really like basketball. And I think you're going to see that maybe in Husker hoops too. The other thing on the football side, and this has kind of been backburnered, is that stadium is still out there. So when you're investing in Nebraska football, you might be investing in the true NIL for players, but there's also that like feeling of, hey, I want to be able to help donate to the Memorial Stadium, because again, once that stadium is complete, let's say in whatever it is, 28, it's going to turn around and generate immediate revenue. Like it will be an immediate moneymaker. So however much money it costs, they will then be able to start generating the kind of revenue that pays down whatever they just paid on it rapidly. And I mean rapidly. So they got to get that stadium built. I know it seems like people are like, why do they need to do that? It's fine as it is. I'm like, yeah, that's not the issue. The issue is that they are leaving money on the table currently. And if you need money for players going down the road, and you like in day one, you can generate $20 million in revenue just by renovating the stadium and doing the things that need to be done. that's something that needs to be done. So, that's the other thing that's out there for football supporters, understanding that if they give money to the stadium, they're actually going to be giving money to the players starting in like 28 or 29 because the revenue is going to generate so quickly.
All right, Sam. Great stuff. As always, we'll let you go and have a good rest of your week. Enjoy the Super Bowl this weekend.
All right, take care. Well, we'll try Seahawks by 14.
Okay. Ooh, I like it. All right, thanks, Sam. See ya.
12.
He came down already. That's Sam McEwen from the Omaha World Herald. Seahawks by 14, weight 12 is his prediction. I like it. We'll have plenty more Super Bowl talk. We realize we haven't talked much about it, except for my thing about Bad Bunny this morning, which is a good take about Bad Bunny. I listened to the Bad Bunny.
There's not like this outsized buzz that I feel about the Super Bowl this year.
There's not.
I don't know if it's because you don't have.
I think maybe like it's the teams combined with maybe the location and like I don't know. There's just not. We don't have it.
It's just kind of been sort of a blah.
Blah.
There isn't also like this massive storyline or star power or whatever, which I'm okay with all of this. Like I don't need a ton of buildup.
The Patriots and Seahawks.
I will be watching no matter what.
100%. I will be too. I don't need that. Let's take a break. We have an update to. It's a perfect time to get to the SEC having their only wins in court because there is an update to that one of those stories, and we'll get to that when we return on 1620 The Zone. Well, we all know where the real game is played, and that is court. Yeah, you might think the game is played on the field or the court, like the basketball court. No. Court, like a courtroom. That is where sports are truly played. That is an excellent question.
I've been to a courtroom.
I don't think so. I've never been tried for a crime.
Well, I didn't know
like
if you'd ever went to a like courthouse wedding or anything like that.
No.
I didn't know if you ever took like a tour of one when you were a small child.
Maybe.
For some reason or another.
Does it look like it did on like Better Call Saul? Is it like that?
It depends. There's lots of different versions of courtrooms. Some just look like tiny little conference rooms.
Oh.
Some look grandiose and have like the beautiful etched wood and all of that. But yeah, I mean, I've been to court for multiple different reasons.
None of which jury duty?
I've ever been never been in for jury duty, never been a defendant or a plaintiff.
Good job.
That's good.
So, but I've been there for like journalism reasons.
Okay.
I've been there because we took tours of it when I was in Boy Scouts.
Poll question: have you ever been to court?
Yeah. And I was always underwhelmed because it looks so like grandiose and cool on television. And then you go to one and it's like, not that great.
No.
And then my issue with it was one of them, I had to go cover something and like the judge just mumbled the entire time. Like it was impossible. Me with my hearing
did they
issues
have a
already,
transcriber?
but well, yeah, they have a court reporter, but they're not like
stenographer.
She's not ripping that thing off and handing it to me.
That would be great if she did.
It exists for their records.
Hey, what do you got over there? Could you just send that to me? Just email that.
Can you text it to me? Fax it to me?
Please.
Did he say Anthony or Anthony?
So here's the update.
I need the spelling
on court today. Tennessee quarterback Joey Aguilar has been granted a temporary restraining order against the NCAA's eligibility rules, reporting from literally everywhere.
Shocking.
So he is fighting for a 6th-year eligibility on the grounds of I don't know what.
There are no grounds.
Okay, gotcha.
I mean, do you want me to go through this?
Should we
go through his career?
Last year was his 5th year, but he was Diego Pavia. He did JUCO.
Yeah.
And so he's trying to get one of those years back. He was at Diablo Valley Community College in
so he redshirted in 2019 at City College of San Francisco, and then in my notes I put Zach Lee !
Shout out Zach
That's
Lee.
where he went. And then he was COVID 2020, so junior college didn't really do anything. So that year he already gets back. So he already got his waiver. And then so he's 1 year in with a waiver, and then he gets 1.5 seasons at Diablo Valley, plays 2 years at Appalachian State. At this point, he's already been in college for 6 years. Then he gets his waiver season at Tennessee, but that's not enough. He needs more time in college and would be 25 at the start of the season next year. This is what we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
There's no literal reason he needs another year of school.
No.
He'll have played more time in the FBS than he would in junior college if you've already giving extra years on this. So I don't understand. He separated himself from Diego Pavia, who has another case going forward.
Diego Pavia is still in court.
Yeah, he's still fighting. Always fighting.
I guess I'd be fighting if I was measured at 5'9" for the
NFL. And so he removed himself from that. And so now he has his own separate case. He didn't take it to the federal level. He took it to the state level because they could just go to where they wanted to get a summation that would likely go in their favor.
Yeah.
They'll get their ruling, which they have, and he'll be the starting quarterback for Tennessee next year. Because again, the only place the SEC can win right now is in court.
This is a good take by you, and it's a funny one, so I appreciate that. However, I think once these cases are actually heard, do you think, I mean, the restraining order is there, especially with the Aguilar case, because football season isn't for a while now. Like this case is going to get heard before football season. It's going to be deliberated, I would think, before football season.
I could see them finding ways to kick this thing out to get them through the season. Everything drops and then they move on.
Maybe. I suppose it's possible.
The cynicism in me doesn't believe, I believe that Trinidad Chambliss, Joey Aguilar will continue to, Bediako is in a very different scenario because of everything else that's at stake there, and that's the one the NCAA is definitely looking to full stop shut down. I would expect that Aguilar and Chambliss will play for their respective schools.
So in the case of Aguilar and Bediako, by the way, both of their injunction hearings are Friday. And so we'll see if that is upheld and it goes to the next thing. I don't know how the courts actually work. Because like I said, I've never been to a court before.
Right.
But there's I think there is sort of
in Bediako, we didn't even talk about this. The judge had to recuse himself because he's an Alabama booster.
Mm-hmm.
What are we doing?
Yeah, get a job would be a phrase that comes to mind for the players who are trying to get their 100th.
Do you think Kentucky fans stand outside the Tennessee court holding up their SEC signs and are rooting for Joey Aguilar as he goes up against?
That is a great question.
Opponent?
They love conference cheering down there.
Are you rooting? Poll question. Are SEC fans rooting for Joey Aguilar in his day in court?
They have to. They have to support all things SEC.
It seems like they would.
Lane writes in on the text line. He says they'll win and they'll get another year. What does this do to young players waiting for a chance to play the 7 years in college?
And then they'll sue because they didn't get the opportunity to. It's funny because it used to be you wanted to get old and stay old. And the SEC version of that is you literally just get older.
You literally get 28.
Yeah. This is what we are now, because none of them have any semblance of self-awareness or decision making that isn't what's best for me at Tennessee. Oh, should I have a different quarterback, or do we need to run it back with this guy who didn't beat a single team with a winning record, but we need him back because we aren't prepared to have a different quarterback at this position?
This goes back to the thing that I said a couple weeks ago. At some point, the coaches are just going to have to say, okay, thank you. I appreciate you. We love you. Obviously, you'd be our best option to be our quarterback next year, considering you're 27 years old and you're going on your 40th year of eligibility and you're pretty good. But just go.
Yeah, well, this is
the coaches have to say that. The people who are in charge of the individual programs have to say that. They have to say, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Otherwise, this would not be a thing.
And they won't, because it's always about self-preservation. It's always about what can I do to survive this moment right now, to keep my job, to keep this salary, to keep the opportunity to be an SEC retread in 5 years at some other school. What can I do about this right now? If Greg Sankey didn't spend so much of his time complaining about everything else in college football and college athletics and being worried about mid-majors getting into the NCAA tournament, and actually turned his focus on what happens in his own conference and ruled with his own iron fist there instead of trying to dictate the terms everywhere else in college athletics, maybe he could use some of his standing to be like, hey, we don't want this anymore.
To be fair, there is, I believe, a former UCLA basketball player who is trying to go back to college right now.
Oh, yeah, no,
it's not just the SEC, but
it's definitely not just the SEC. It's really prominent there at the moment because they're the ones that are like, we're not going to federal court anymore.
We're dying.
We're going
here.
to state court.
We're losing.
We're going
to
a booster,
and we need to get our players back who have played for us for the last 7 years.
We need a court case that's just outside of Knoxville.
Weird on all fronts. So we'll keep you updated on that one. Quick timeout. Any thoughts on it? We'll take them. 402-951-1620. Lord Michelson's coming up in about 15 minutes. We'll be back after this on 1620 The Zone. Oh, look, Captain's in the chat this morning. He says, how's everyone doing this morning? And follows up with the winning percentage of the teams Matt Rule beat in 2025 season had a combined winning percentage around 40%. How about that fact of the day from Captain?
That tracks. I mean, they beat Michigan State. Maryland didn't have winning years. Akron finished 5-7. Houston Christian was like 4-8 or 3-9.
Were they really?
Something like that.
Houston Christian was that bad?
They were pretty bad.
I remember thinking that they were about as good as Akron.
Akron ended up being a lot better than they played in the game against Nebraska.
Wow.
There were a couple close losses at the end of the season.
Actually, we only have 2024's record on here for Houston.
Yeah, Houston Christian, we'll find that.
Wikipedia page. They finished 9th in the Southland. They went 2-10.
Yep.
Ouch.
So I gave them too many wins. Their last win of the season was a 3-point victory over Northwestern State. They then scored, looks like.
Oh, they scored 32 in their second to last game against East Texas A&M.
Yep. Otherwise, they only scored 34 points in the other 5 games.
Who do you think, if you asked the Houston Christian coach who the best quarterback they played all year, do you think it would have been TJ Lateef, or do you think it would have been the guy from Stephen F. Austin who beat him 50-3?
We'll go with Stephen F. Austin. I'm pretty sure it would not have been the Arkansas Baptist team.
Oh, no, the Stephen F. Austin guy didn't go that hard. He was 11 of 16 for 132. Man, they must have ran it all over him or something. Oh,
I will say this kid, Deshaun Edwards, was a pretty good running back.
Yeah, he was good. Yeah,
that was the one guy on Houston Christian where I used to have this running bit where it's like, you ever played NBA Street? You would win a game in this mode, and then you get to take a player off of the team that you beat. And I was like, well, there's probably not much to take off of Houston Christian, but I would like that running back. Yeah. And even now,
any running back.
If you added Deshaun Edwards into Nebraska's running back room right now, I'd feel a little bit better about it.
Seriously, yeah, they could have taken anybody. I mean, people forget about this. They didn't take anyone this offseason, with the exception of the freshman. That
finished with 1,000 yards, 5.3 yards average. He's a freshman from League City in Texas.
Did he enter the portal?
I don't know if he did or not. I'm going to look this up.
We got to take a look at this guy. Anyway, I was going to ask you, Schaefer, since we got a couple minutes here. It is National Signing Day, and I wanted to. We went down memory lane a little bit earlier.
Do you want some more names?
I want some more guys.
Okay, let's go with some that are not great for Nebraska throughout history. You remember the name Andres Pete?
I do.
I don't think it's a favorite of one Michael Severe, where he's been a New Orleans Saint for much of his career.
Quite a long time, yeah.
Andres Pete.
Well, they got his brother, Todd.
They had Todd Pete Jr. Very good. There was a third brother. I can't remember what his name was. Nebraska never really recruited him.
He was later, wasn't he?
He was a lot later.
Yeah.
I cannot for the life of me remember the name.
But wasn't he like a really good recruit?
No, Andres was the big one.
Okay.
Andres was a 5-star offensive tackle who ended up going to, I believe, Stanford and playing for Jim Harbaugh. Is that correct?
I believe that is correct.
So
I'll check. Keep going.
He decides on signing day, but he has a decision at the same time that Avery Moss, his teammate and friend, had a decision, and Nebraska felt good about getting Avery Moss, and they did, but they never ended up getting Andres Pete, who they, I think, really thought they were going to leave with. That was a year where
I remember how close they felt like they were going to,
that was my first year covering Nebraska recruiting, and they missed on Andres Pete and Ronnie. I think it's Ronnie Stanley, who went to Notre Dame, and then he's been with Baltimore forever in the NFL. There was another tackle in there. They just basically didn't get any of the offensive linemen that they wanted, which, is kind of a precursor for how a lot of recruiting would go for them.
Andres Pete was in the class of 2012. So he's basically in the same class as Joey Aguilar.
All right.
No, just kidding. He wasn't, but that was a joke.
Do you remember the name Willie Sykes? Does that name ring a bell to you?
Not as much, no.
So Willie Sykes played high school football at Spring High in Spring, Texas. He was a part of the 2015 class. Willie Sykes was going to commit to Nebraska, was all set to announce for Nebraska.
He was in, as they say.
He had done multiple pre-writes that he was going to Nebraska.
Oh.
And then he decided he was going to Arkansas. And why did Willie Sykes want to go to Arkansas? Mike Schaefer called him the night before signing day and was like, hey, I heard you're going to Arkansas. What's happening here? And he told me, hey, I am going to announce to Arkansas tomorrow. I like their business program, and they have this internship thing where I could work at Walmart. And that was like a big part of his decision. Instead of going to Nebraska, he wanted Arkansas's business school set up with Waltons, the Waltons and the Walmart. Of
course,
fame,
yeah.
Really won him over.
Now, he wanted to work at Walmart?
Take that however you want to take that. And
did he end up working at Walmart?
No. Well, I don't know. He might. I can't speak to where Willie Sykes is in present day context.
Bill's right around the corner.
His job history was. So he tells me this, and he knows that we're on record, like I'm interviewing. And so I put up a story, Nebraska no longer the favorite to get Willie Sykes, trending to Arkansas.
Because of Walmart.
Calls me back, because then everyone else is now calling him, but he's telling him, no, I'm still going to Nebraska, because he wanted to do this as a signing day surprise. But why did he tell you? Exactly. He calls me back. He's like, hey, did you run a story? And I was like, yeah, I'd said that I was doing a story on this. He's like, yeah, I kind of forgot that you would run it right away. And I was like, yeah, he's like, that's okay. And he proceeds to tell like people like Christopherson and everyone else, because Brian was calling him for the Journal Star at the time.
He's like, yeah, he's telling me he's going to Nebraska.
And Brian's like, but you're quoted over here saying about the Walmart business school at Arkansas. So that was that was February of 2015. Another one, this gets into the Scott Frost era.
Oh, are we going with Javonte Jean-Baptiste?
Javonte Jean-Baptiste.
The snowstorm.
Had one of the more fascinating recruitments throughout. And Nebraska very much was hoping to land him. Believe, his brother was Stanley Jean-Baptiste. And so you have all of that. And they needed edge rushers, right? Like, besides not ever being able to get the tackles, outside of Randy Gregory, the list is very small of Nebraska getting true edge rushers in their program.
He turned out to be pretty good, by the way.
And so they think they have this thing done. And then, of course, there's this like freak snowstorm that's happening on signing day. He's out of New Jersey. I think one of his teammates was coming to Nebraska.
Would it have been Ramir? Was that the...
No, Ramir came after him, I'm pretty sure. Because he was in the first Frost class, or he would have been in the first Frost class, like the year that Nebraska landed some other guys on signing day. And he is going back and forth between Nebraska and Ohio State. And basically, the story of it is that Urban Meyer, because of the snowstorm, had enough time to convince him to get back into the fold and join him at Ohio State before Scott Frost and Nebraska were able to get the NLI for one Javonte Jean-Baptiste, who didn't have like a big career to start with, but then came on late.
No, he didn't play for like a couple years.
Yeah. And that's usually what happens when you go to a place like Ohio State, where if you're not one of the studs right away, you're going to have to work your way into it. He ended up transferring to Notre Dame to finish his career. Willie Sykes went from Arkansas to Texas Tech to finishing at Lamar, if you were wondering.
Okay, got you. Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking at the rest of Nebraska's class for this would have been 18.
Yeah,
for Javonte Jean-Baptiste.
I assume this is the last time we're doing this, so I'm going to fire the gun.
We might have a couple more minutes at the end, but
do you want me to wait, or there's only a couple more? Because at this point, there is going to be, this is the last year. 2018 is the last year of the February
real signing day. Yeah.
There's a couple more from that signing day.
Adrian Martinez.
Well, he had already signed and enrolled because he was an early enrollee.
Right. I still think we should call him and tell him he was the greatest signing day interview of all time.
You have Maurice Washington was in this.
Oh, I bet that was
He
fun.
was a signing day decision, and that was like nobody knew what he was going to do because his advisor at that time, Deion Sanders, who was the head coach of his high school.
That's right.
Down there in Texas.
And
so Maurice Washington had a monster Under Armour camp performance during the lead up to the Under Armour All-Star game. He played in that as well.
That was at the Trop. I remember watching that.
Nobody really knew what he was going to do because he was being recruited by some schools to be a defensive back. At Nebraska, he was being recruited as a running back. There was some academic/character concerns.
I wonder if those ever played out.
I think they may have.
Yeah.
But ultimately, that was a big win for Nebraska.
Well, I remember the thought on him at the time was like, oh, yeah, the only reason he's not like the best recruit in the country is because of all of that other stuff. And then when he got here and we saw him play, we're like, oh, yeah, this is like the most electric player.
Yeah, I mean,
this is one of the most electric dudes I've seen in a long, long time.
If he had, and you know, if there's a different set of circumstances, there's a world where he could have absolutely set the Big Ten on fire with what he was able to do in that specific offense. But obviously, we know a lot did not go well.
Correct. Took a different path.
There's one more if you want it.
I want it later.
Okay.
Let's take a break. We got to get to Lauren Michelson coming up on 1620 The Zone. All right, welcome back. More of Happer and Schaefer at 1620 The Zone, 1620thezone.com. And a welcome back to our friend Lauren Michelson from KETV. Lauren, we had travel issues and we had sickness issues, but we're back. 2 for 4 is really not bad, at which, it's like a Hall of Famer if you could do it consistently.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah. Hey, it's been a doozy of a last couple of weeks of January, but we made it out alive. We're on February, hoping for a little bit of a smoother month, you guys.
So we asked you, I think, a couple of weeks ago, but the reason, the travel thing last week was with Nebraska basketball as they were coming back from Michigan. How much plans for travel do we have in this month of February? And then, of course, as we get into March following the Huskers?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, that's the $1 million question, right? Andy's going to be doing the dirty work there, meeting with management, planning what travel will be looking like. But hopefully, goal right now is to be in Chicago for the Big Ten tournament and continue on from there, depending which teams we have in it. Obviously, Nebraska will be one of them.
So quick question then. Would you rather be in Oklahoma City, say for the first weekend of the NCAA tournament, St. Louis, or San Diego? Like, this is a personal preference thing.
Yeah, no, this is good. We're booked for Oklahoma City and St. Louis, so those two would be easier in terms of planning purposes. As a Missouri grad, I have a lot of friends in St. Louis. That would be fun, and I know Nebraska fans would travel very easily there, and OKC would be fun. But I don't know, to get into some sunshine,
I know
that might be good too.
It sounds pretty good.
How would this compare to, you went to Providence with UNO last year, right?
Yes, that was
that?
fun. It was gloomy. It was okay. There were actually a decent amount of Omaha fans that traveled, which was really cool. I mean, that was such a fantastic run. I actually spent yesterday morning with UNO Hoops, which was a nice little change of pace. And yeah, that was great. I mean, it's just fun to travel in March. Like, the fact that we have so many teams that could be in it when you put like Nebraska women potentially. And I mean, it's a fun time, but Omaha was just a blast to cover in Providence last year. That was one of my highlights of all the travel I've done so far.
So not traveling this past weekend, this Sunday at Nebraska. So obviously, like, we'll get into the game, but let's talk about the atmosphere, because I feel like it's been glossed over a little bit considering they lost. I mean, you're down on the floor. You get to sort of feel all of it. What was it like in that building on Sunday?
Yeah, it's so cool seeing, like, you're like 2 hours until the game even starts, and the students are in, and they have the T-shirts, and it's a whiteout, and I mean, the place is just buzzing. Everyone's excited, and we're walking around the arena, and even like the workers are bringing down loads of extra booze for fans, and they're like, "This is gonna sell out." They had like a bottle of Crown Royale, like, empty already, like pre-pouring beverages, and
nice.
And some of the box seats there, and it just was fun before they even started the game, right? Like, it's just cool to see everyone so juiced about this team. But the whiteout was cool. It was a good atmosphere. We knew it was going to be a good game. It stinks that Nebraska couldn't get it done, but I mean, I think they have a very clear picture of what needs to happen over the next couple of weeks in order for this team to get back on track. And I do think it starts with the guy they've built this roster around in Rink Mass. And, say what you want. I know, he was coming back from the ER and had a really tough draw there with that stomach illness. But, we can get into that. But that's the number one thing I'd say needs to change moving forward for Nebraska starting Saturday at Rutgers. They need more from their star players.
What was just the sort of experience like for you, where you're back-to-back games that you cover of Nebraska, you're shooting a top 5 and then a top 10 matchup? Because you're out there in Michigan last week.
Yeah, Michigan was awesome. I was a little sleepy there. I was surprised. The crowd was a little quiet.
Seemed that way on television.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yeah, and I'm glad I wasn't put through suffering watching the broadcast. That was a pro. But it was a little bit of an interesting. Chrysler's cool, but like snowstorm, earlier tip. Like, yeah, it was a sleepy crowd until late in the second half, and that was difficult. But I don't know. Everyone's saying I'm now bad luck for this team. It's like I'm back to back. I'm like, I've been covering this team all season, and we're not going to put it on these last 2 games. Don't bring that on me. But it's been fun. I mean, the fact that like, I think this kind of got glossed over. This is the first top 10 matchup at PBA. Like, that was kind of shocking to think about. Just the magnitude of that alone was really crazy. But I mean, it's the thing. It's exciting to say the least. But I just hope that this week really does Nebraska well in terms of getting healthy and getting their minds right.
Do you feel after last week, do you feel any differently about them, or is there like, I think there's probably less just momentum from like a fan base side, like a ever so slightly, but do you feel any differently about the team now that you've seen them actually with your own eyes lose 2 games, which we didn't know that was possible before last week?
Yeah, I mean, I think there are some more glaring weaknesses for Nebraska, like namely just they need to be way more aggressive in the paint. I think they only made 10 shots inside the arc. Like, you can't do that in March. And I mean, when this team is on, they're outstanding, but they cannot rely on just Price Stanford to get it done offensively. And I think the other thing is, like, just when you look at the star power for Illinois and Michigan compared to Nebraska, there is, I don't want to say a talent disparity because Nebraska obviously has some dudes, but there is a little bit of a fall off there, which is something to think about moving forward if they can make a run in the tournament. And what do you want to get in the portal per se? But I'm not worried about them. I think they were kind of, they had a lot of tight turnaround scouting for Michigan, then Illinois, top 10 battles back to back. And then you have illness, like the whole team was sick, you have injuries. So it was a tough hand to be dealt at the worst time for them. So they're going to be okay. But, they need to get off on a right foot against Rutgers, get right game, if you will.
Did you sense any real difference in Fred Hoiberg in post games? Like, now that they've had a couple losses here, he's been pretty consistent throughout their build of those 20 wins. And then did you notice more frustration from him, or is he largely, and this is kind of what he's always sort of been to me, the same guy in victory and in defeat?
Yeah, I think that's the thing that makes him such a joy to cover. And I just really appreciate that from a coach because he's very even keeled regardless of what's happening. I more so watch him on the sidelines getting fired up and mouthing more F-bombs. And I like seeing that side of him, which we don't always get. I think he is maybe a little bit more protective almost of this team. Just, backing, we do have the talent, we are capable. This is even just the rink mass conversation. You can go back and argue, well, he didn't produce against Illinois, but he's also been cold the last couple of games he's played. And that is something that needs to be addressed. And he has, the last 3 times we've spoken with him, has had nothing but confidence in Rink's ability and knows he's going to be fine and get back. He's still producing in different ways for this team. However, I mean, that is something that needs to be addressed by him in a different way. I think we may talk to him on Friday. But no, he's the same guy all the time. That's what makes him so great to cover.
I know at the Creighton game on Saturday, I saw Eddie and you were anchoring, I think, on Saturday. I wanted to know what you think of Dan Hurley. You've been around a little bit, and you saw the video obviously from Saturday. When you watch Dan Hurley do a press conference, when you watch all of his antics, what do you think of Dan Hurley?
Oh, I think Dan Hurley is everything that is good in college basketball. Everyone that is so annoyed with him. I don't understand how you can't not love him as a villain and a character in the grand scheme of college sports. He is if I see him pop up on my TV or on social media, I will stop what I'm doing to listen. That guy is just fun. And I like the fact that people hate him. He's controversial, but no, he's everything that's good with college sports, college hoops. And I think we need more of him in the college athletics landscape, to be honest. So yeah, it's like a show watching him come in. We knew it would be, and all the drama with the rings last year, and obviously such a different outcome this year in a way.
Right.
It was still fine, but yeah, he's great. I think he's just phenomenal.
Where will you and the camera be here throughout the rest of the week and into the weekend?
Yeah, so I have a high school shoot today, which is very fun. We have to remember, like, gosh, this February calendar for prep sports, you guys. State wrestling.
Whoa, when is state wrestling, like, what, next week or something?
Like 2 weeks. Like, I believe the 17th. And you have girls wrestling and you have boys. And it's like a thing. It's kind of like a love-hate relationship. There's a lot of good storylines. That's an all-day event, like back to back to back. So waiting for that. But we have a little bit more of a relaxed week with Nebraska being on the road and Creighton being on the road tonight. So, yeah. And then I got a couple days off, too. So kind of balanced, which is good because we have some travel coming up, which is fine.
Excellent. Wouldn't have it any other way. Lauren Michelson from KETV. Lauren, good to talk to you as always, and we'll chat next week.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later.
Lauren Michelson, who is everywhere. She was not at the Creighton. Well, she might have eventually showed up to the Creighton game on Saturday, but because I saw Eddie, who had worked at 1011 in Lincoln for a long time, and now is sort of sports/news over at KETV. And so talked to him for a little while, and
like the kind of
your mic's off.
That's been the kind of the move, the 1011 the KTV.
There is a little bit of a pipeline there, but Lauren's not a part of it though.
No,
Lauren
she was
ABC,
KLKN.
Yeah,
KLKN.
So. But thinking about Hurley, because I was scrolling through her Twitter and I saw the video of Hurley sitting in the post game talking about Kalkbrenner and those judges in Nebraska, they wouldn't bleep and do that. He stayed out on, I don't know if we ever talked about this. Like, he stayed out for 15, 20 minutes. Like,
yeah, you compared it to Bad Bunny coming out of the tunnel.
No, that's right. We talked about Bad Bunny. He's taking pictures with whoever asked. And,
I think he's great because you need characters in college sports.
Yeah.
Like, if everyone's sort of milquetoast and boring, then that makes things a lot worse. Like, one of the reasons I love Mike Leach is because he was different and would talk differently, and you never knew what he was going to say. Now, I wouldn't love covering that day in and day out because it'd be hard to get an actual answer to your questions.
That's true.
But
Hurley's not like
that.
Hurley's not like that.
No,
Hurley's not like
he's a character is what I'm getting at.
Yes.
And it's like what separates the bland boringness sometimes of professional sports where you get non-answers all the time. Sometimes you get college coaches that are just let it fly, and that's great.
Yep, I'm cool with it. Now I wouldn't go as far as to say like I'm rooting for UConn or anything like that, but I like
conference cheering. Connor Happer.
I'm not
CCCH.
Not particularly conference cheering, but if you put my conference up against other conference,
I was looking at the old ESPN bubble that I think they put out for the first time today.
I would imagine Seton Hall's on there.
Seton Hall has work to do. Villanova is in the should be in.
Yeah, that's about right.
Looking like a three bid, maybe 4.
Yeah, that seems about right.
Creighton did get listed under long shots.
Now, if you did it a week, now people are still yelling at me because I famously called Creighton a bubble team like last week before the Marquette game. And then I'm immediately, like, when the Marquette game started, I'm like, not anymore. They're not that anymore. But it's not going to stop people from tweeting at me after Creighton loses basketball games down the stretch. Pretty tough loss for a bubble team, wouldn't you say? And I would say, yes, but they're not a bubble team.
I need to find these and start liking these tweets to encourage people to continue doing it.
So sad. So sad. All right. We'll take a break. Maybe one more story from Schaefer and a couple other things before we get out of here on 1620 The Zone. But first, a word from Underdog Fantasy. Football's biggest game is right around the corner. You can get in on all the action with Underdog right now in Nebraska. If you are not on Underdog yet, then you are in luck because new customers score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you make your first $5 fantasy entry. Playing on Underdog is easy. Head to the app, make picks on if a player will go higher or lower on their stat categories like touchdowns, rushing yards, receptions, interceptions, and all that you could find for the game coming up. There's new promos dropping daily in the app. So if you like making picks and if you like making money, then Underdog is the place to be for the big game. So take a look at whatever you'd like across the board. And as you know, the game on Sunday will provide many options for you there. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today. Use promo code HAPPER1620 to score $75 in fantasy bonus entries when you play your first $5 on fantasy. Promo code Happer 1620. Underdog, make picks, win money, must be 19 plus and present. Nebraska terms apply. See assets.underdogfantasy.com/web/playing good terms _DFS _.html for details. Concerned with your play? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit www.ncpgambling.org. While you were checking your brackets, Shafe, did you happen to stumble across any women's brackets? Some lady Torvik brackets?
Lady bracketology?
Lady Torvik, did you happen to?
No, I didn't.
Because I wonder how close Nebraska might be to the bubble. They're 16. They played tonight at Michigan, who's one of the top 10 teams in the country. Michigan home on Saturday against Maryland. And then you kind of everybody in the Big Ten is pretty good, so any one of these wins is like really big for them. But I don't think you make the tournament at like 17 and 12, or I'm not sure. So I wonder how close they're getting to the bubble. They've had several opportunities for big wins. And
how much of it matters is the Big Ten is so loaded as a conference.
It has
17
to
and 12 can't hurt you that bad as it would if you were in like the SEC or something.
They have a bad loss though. They lost at Wisconsin.
Yeah, they should not have lost that game.
And then they've looked just generally, I don't know, just watching them at home games doesn't feel like it's like complete. Offensively, I think they're pretty good. Defensively, I wonder about them sometimes. But anyway, they're at Michigan tonight. The Creighton women are at home against Georgetown.
The Nebraska women have a very annoying habit of not finishing the game out, which is probably played out like 3 times this year. That Michigan State game in particular stands out to me.
It's played out a lot of times actually in the last like 10 years or in that neighborhood.
I mean, Charlie
Cream
has them.
Cream, the women's bracketologist,
has them as a 7.
He has them as a 7.
A 7.
All right, so don't fall too much further beyond that.
Which would tell you they're probably safely in by about 10 spots right now.
Yeah, but then look, they play Michigan, Maryland, Minnesota, Iowa, Oregon, Washington. Those are all top 25 Torvik teams.
Yeah, no, this is the difficulty of playing in the toughest conference in
like
college basketball.
What if you don't win any of them?
Well, they won't lose them all.
Okay, I believe you.
They won't. I feel good about it.
Okay, all right. Then they play Rutgers to finish up the season, which they will win that game because they're horrible.
Well, you said that about Wisconsin too.
I know. I'm just getting worried. I'm worried about
it. Yeah. Look, they've got to beat somebody. You got to prove it somewhere along the line.
Okay. All right. Well, they have a couple opportunities. They're on the road quite a lot over this last month of the season, but home on Saturday. Saturday, I have the great pleasure of waking up, getting ready, going to Pinnacle Bank Arena, and then driving immediately downtown to Omaha. From there, going red to blue in a snap of a finger.
It's been done before.
So I went blue to red last time I did it. Now I'm going red to blue. There's 2 Saturdays in the remainder of the season where I'll have to go very quickly red to blue.
The Connor Happer quick change, they call it.
Yeah, I'll have to bring my wardrobe people along with me. Okay, the Cam Taylor-Britt story.
Yeah, I mean, there's not as much of a story here as he was a signing day decision on, I don't know what signing day was in February of 2018.
Yeah.
But this is the last time that signing day existed in that format where there was only one signing period. And so it was kind of a big deal still at that point in time. Cam Taylor-Britt was one of the decisions that day. At that time, he was just Cam Taylor. And it was between Nebraska, Missouri. I think Auburn was involved. And Nebraska did a nice job here. They got the commitment. And I don't know that anyone at the time understood what they were getting. Cam Taylor was a high school quarterback. Like, this is a guy that played quarterback that then moved to corner, and they just loved his personality. They loved his competitiveness. He was just a high school athlete that I think people were really appreciated what he was as a person, but didn't know where he might fit on a football field exactly. Nebraska saw corner. Travis Fisher saw corner, and they got him here, and they loved him right away. But this was someone that was kind of an afterthought on signing day of 2018 that ends up being a second-round pick, one of the best players out of the Scott Frost era from a production standpoint and getting to the NFL. And at the time, at several times in his career, was a really valuable cornerback.
Oh, very
also
much
was
so,
a whipping boy for, he didn't have great games all the time. He had the infamous safety in the 2021 season opener against Illinois.
Pain.
Because for some reason, and again, somehow everything always relates back to special teams. Nebraska has a penchant for fielding punts inside its own 5 that will never be understood by anyone who is very aware of the conventional wisdom. Stand at the 8, and if you go backwards, you don't catch it. That's not how Nebraska's done it.
Very odd.
J.D. Spielman, whether it's Cam Taylor-Britt, whether it's been other guys.
I wish they would add that to their repertoire
Maybe they will. Maybe when we get an opportunity to talk with Nick Humphrey.
Brett Maher, he knows the rules. Add it in. Heels on the 8 and never go past it.
Yeah.
Pretend like the 8 is the edge of the earth. And if you fall backwards, you die. Don't step beyond the 8 yard line.
Never go back.
Do not step beyond the 8-yard line. I was just looking at the other guys from that 18 class as well. You're right. I mean, there were so many interesting, this is Frost's first class. And he was one of the least talked about dudes from it.
Yep.
Because
he wasn't even the most talked about Cam in the class.
Cameron Jones, who never did anything.
No, he did not.
Never did anything. Not only in Nebraska, just like point blank period. I don't think.
He transferred back to SMU, I think, and then never played.
We had Caleb Tanner in that class.
Was Caleb Tanner? Caleb Tanner was part of that signing day decision. They ended up getting him over Georgia, which was a big win at the time. Caleb Tanner was a good player, not a great player, but a good.
Caleb Tanner was fine he played for all the 4 years, right?
Again, one of those things where the expectation is because you get him over Georgia, he needs to be a superstar instead of just like a good college football player.
I got a couple names for you. How about this one? Katarian Legrone.
Yep. Remember that Katarian Legrone? You would remember him too if you think about the circumstances in which he left the program.
I remember. I recall, but I'm just looking at the names and thinking about that part. Justin McGriff.
He went from tight end to defensive end to linebacker to another program.
Yep. Let's see here. Braxton Clark.
That
was guy.
Kept waiting for him to get more opportunity at corner than what he ended up really getting. I think they liked him. He just couldn't either stay healthy. And then when he was in, it just never worked how they wanted. He played, though. I mean, he ended up leaving, I think, at the end of his career, too. He didn't have like a bad career. It just wasn't as good as you would expect.
They had some guys.
You see Miles Jones in there?
They saw Miles Jones. They had some guys who left when they left the program, which many of them didn't make it all the way to the end. They just left under very questionable circumstances.
Do you want a Miles Jones story?
I would love a Miles Jones story.
So Miles Jones visits Nebraska on a divisional round weekend, and he leaves, late Sunday afternoon. Mike Schaefer is watching the Vikings in the first half, taking it to Sean Payton's Saints, just beating them. It's great. It's like 17-3. Life couldn't be better. The Vikings are going to go play Nick Foles and the Eagles in the NFC Championship game, and that's going to be a win, and they're going to play in Minnesota for a Super Bowl. That'll be pretty cool.
You would have been very happy about that.
I would have. But then the game starts to flip, and I don't like where this is going. And suddenly the Saints kicker is drilling a field goal, and they have the lead, and Case Keenum takes the field with just a handful of seconds left before the Minneapolis Miracle occurs. Mm-hmm. And I pick up my dog in celebration, and I throw Slider in the air, and I catch him, and I set him down, and he runs away, and he's been scarred. He was scarred forever with sporting events after that. And immediately after all of this celebration, I have to get on the phone and call Miles Jones and do an interview about his official visits.
Were you out of breath?
The ability that I had to go from like basically ranting about the playoff gods.
There's got to be no more sobering thing from like
the delirium.
I just
of
had
that
the best
moment.
Sports moment of my life, maybe ever. To I have to work.
Yeah. And then it's like, okay, now I need to call someone and be professional and ask questions about their visit and see if he's going to pick Nebraska or Vanderbilt.
Did you say on the front end, like, forgive me, my team just had the greatest win I'll ever see in my life?
I think I'd said something like, if this seems like a very scattered interview, it's because I just watched the wildest NFL finish. He's like, yeah, we saw it in the airport. I was like, oh, cool.
Did you tell him you're a Vikings guy?
I might have. I don't remember.
Probably.
I don't remember the exact nature of the interview.
Shout out to Miles Jones, always
that's how I will never forget Miles Jones for that regard. He played
because a lot of other people forgot about Miles Jones already. Yeah.
He played against Bethune-Cookman, I think, is when he played for Nebraska, and then he would transfer after that.
Nice. Okay, that is it's signing day, so we can reminisce about the olden times where signing day was important. That will do it for us today. Appreciate you guys joining us. If you missed anything, 1620thezone.com, as always, is where you can find it. The crossover is
next.